and Company.
I'm going to be keeping you company for the next few hours.
You are not going to believe the company.
This company.
You're going to bankrupt your mama's company.
At least I have the radio to keep me company. On 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
It is so funny that you played this, Eddie, because last night, we got done with Christmas and everything else, and we went to a movie last night. And I'm in the car driving to the movie theater. And yes, it's Christmas evening last night, and, you're still kind of soaking in the glow of Christmas. And this song came on the radio. And for a split second, I thought to myself, I feel like it's a Friday and we're getting psyched for the weekend on the show. Except for that, I've got to go to work tomorrow, which is a Monday. And then I'm like, no, wait a minute. Today is a Friday. So here we are on a Friday that feels like a Monday, but at the same time, it is still a Blue Friday, which we will be doing with Colts Happy Hour Friday, or today, I should say, coming up later with JMV, and then getting set for the home finale for the Colts. The Colts and the Jacksonville Jaguars. And the question becomes, is this going to be a moot point by the time they even get underway from a playoff standpoint? That's not to say a moot point, because there's still things, and we can get into that you're hoping to see and that you're looking for and that you want to analyze, and that it gives you a chance to truly break down between the Colts and the Jacksonville Jaguars coming up at Lucas Oil Stadium on Sunday. But here's the easiest way to say it. If the Texans lose to the LA Chargers, then the Colts are still alive. But if Houston is to win, here's what the Colts need. The Colts need Houston to lose to the Chargers, and they need to sweep Jacksonville and Houston in their last two games. Easiest way to say it. There are still other things that come into play. Probably the simplest way to say it is this, and I said this to Scott Swan on WTHR on Tuesday night that feels like a Friday, when he was asking me, so the Colts still mathematically have a chance for the playoffs, correct? And I said, that's correct. They have a 1% chance at the playoffs. They have a 5% chance if they were to win on Sunday, which means basically, and I hate to say this, we're coming off of Christmas. I hope everybody had a wonderful holiday. I hope that when you got down to the fireplace yesterday morning, that everything you wanted was in the stocking. I hope your stocking was full of nothing but chocolates and winning lottery tickets and an orange if you're so inclined and a peppermint stick and everything that you love. And I hope there's no lump of coal. And I don't want to put a lump of coal in your stocking a day after Christmas. But basically the reality is this: Colts ain't going to the playoffs. The Colts are not going to the playoffs. And I'm here to say, and I will predict, and I don't believe in, I get a kick out of the whole, even though I just read it off, like during a course of a game. So-and-so won that game, and with 7 minutes left, they had a 98% chance of losing. No, they had it's 50-50. Every game's 50-50. If you're on the field, you got a chance. Come back, whatever. I get all the whole, yeah, but X number of things have to happen. Okay, whatever. This team at this point, and yes, part of it is injury. Part of it's injury. I get it. But at this point, they haven't earned a trip to the playoffs. But we'll get into that. There's plenty to talk about. Pacers in action tonight, taking on the Celtics. We'll get you set for the Rose Bowl as well. But let me begin by saying this on a Friday. Good afternoon to you, and Merry Christmas. My name is Jay Query. Eddie Garrison, the other voice you hear on this program.
Good afternoon.
It is Query and Company here on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Eddie, a hearty tip of the cap to you, because, and yes, there's plenty to talk about for the Colts, and we'll get into all that today, but I do want to rehash or reintroduce the holiday. And I could do so, in a number of different ways, but let's begin simply by saying this. We went on Tuesday evening, and I had a fabulous time out at Ale Emporium with Zinc Distributing and Mick Ultra as part of our Mini Hoops Challenge. Awesome. Folks at Zinc are awesome. Jim and his group are awesome people. And Mick Ultra, I mean, you're talking about basically, you get done with a workout, you get done with a run, and you still would like that evening to go out and have a beer. Mick Ultra, that's exactly what it's there for, right? It's the healthy lifestyle beer, if you will. And, lower carbs, lower calories. It's great beer. And we had a ton of fun doing the Mini Hoops Challenge out at Ale Emporium. But that night, I went to the Pacer game against Milwaukee. And by the way, when that rematch takes place February 6th in Milwaukee, part of our Mick Ultra Hoops mini challenge, we're going to get somebody that is one of the finalists of our 4 trips for this in the Mini Hoops Challenge with the high score that wins the finals. We're going to send them, courtesy of Mick Ultra, to go see that game in Milwaukee. But after the game, I went to the game. After the game, we went to the State Fairground Lights. And, Eddie, I was like a proud dad, a proud older brother. I don't mean that condescendingly. I'm simply talking in the age difference. I know how hard you worked. You took a couple of days off for it, and you were telling me that they wanted to put in, and it is fun. When you go through the Fairground Lights, they have the kind of discrete elves that are lit up throughout the course of the fairgrounds, and you don't realize how many elves there are, and apparently this year they wanted to add the number of elves, and that was what you were hired to do as a freelance lighting expert.
Yeah.
And I got to give you credit, man. It looked great.
I had to take a couple extra days off lately because we had some lighting issues. That's why I was out so much the last week or so. I needed to be there.
They wanted to put in a few extra, right? Didn't they needed, by request?
Yeah, that, and we had to, Jake, when you have that much wattage going on and you've got all those lights, some of those lights are going to go out, so you have to replace them. So that's where I come in.
So you're the guy that shows up with the new bulbs?
Yes.
Okay. Well, you did a heck of a job because it looked really, really good.
You showed me a text from, I think it was Pat, one of your buddy Pat.
Yeah.
He texted and complimented the work as well.
He did. He was very happy with the work you did,
and
so I got to give you credit.
I did a good job if you're complimenting me, because you don't compliment me on anything.
That's true. How was your holiday?
It was good. It was nice to get away for a few days, Obviously, I didn't do the show Monday or Tuesday, and was able to get some last-minute Christmas shopping in, watch some Christmas movies, and then was able to spend time with family on Christmas Eve and on Christmas Day.
Which Christmas movies?
Polar Express, Santa Claus 2, Santa Claus 3, Elf, and I think that was it. Maybe Home Alone 3. Yeah, Home Alone 3.
Okay. I'm going to say this about Christmas as it relates to the Colts, okay? And I'm saying this half seriously and not flippantly, but it's taken me a long time to realize this, okay? There are 2 ways to look at it. And I was very disheartened by the Colts' effort or lack thereof defensively in particular. And the way that their lack of execution, what looked to be their lack of heart, desire, all of it. And, under a week ago. I mean, you knew going into it, that was a game that the Colts needed. And you knew that the Niners were a team that was coming off injury, that, Brock Purdy's not been healthy all year long. They've had to go to their backup quarterback, use him in stretches. Their tight end play, they've had to go deep into the well on that, then come back with that. You're always worried about McCaffrey for, overuse, et cetera. He's a fabulous player, all of it. And one of the signs of great teams is, A, you hit on draft picks when you least expect it, and B, you have depth. And I think San Francisco, yes, we don't cover them to the level that we do the Colts, but I think San Francisco exhibited those things in that game. And you look at the Colts season, and you want to dwell on what's not there. You want to dwell on the things that should have been laid out before them that are not. You want to dwell on the fact that they're not going to the playoffs. And I know mathematically they have a 1% chance. They're not going to the playoffs, okay? You want to dwell on that. You want to dwell on the fact that Man, what a year. It was going to be an MVP race between Daniel Jones and Jonathan Taylor, and then Daniel Jones gets hurt and he's not there. And you want to dwell on the fact that they have had to go out and get Phillip Rivers and bring him in at the age of 44, and what's going to happen with that. There are so many storylines, yin and yang. And I thought about this last night with Christmas. And this is not unique to me. It's true for virtually everyone. But as you get older and you move along, Christmas has phases in life. It has different meanings in life depending on where you are in life. The magic of Santa Claus, and you can't wait to tell Santa what it is that you want for Christmas. And then the magic of it's a day to simply sleep in late because you don't have to get up and go to school, and your parents hopefully are going to let you sleep in a little extra later. The magic of, for the first time, being able to go out and with your own money buy gifts for everybody. And then that turns into the magic of simply like coming back home from college or wherever it is that you live and just being around your parents, and you don't want to admit it, but you kind of feel like a kid again on Christmas morning. And everybody within their familial role takes the same role that you had years ago, and there's a special feeling about that. And then you reach, and some of you may have not reached this point, and it's not unique to me. It's not unique to most families. But you reach a point in Christmas where things are just different. There are other things in life going on within the family, within health and things like that change the dynamic of how Christmas is going to look. It changes who all can get together, where you're going to do the gifts, how long you can do it, etc. And it changes the magic of Santa and things like that. But then when it comes down to it, at some point, you reach the epiphany of the fact that this is a magical time of year. And it's a magical time of year not because of all the things that were magical about it to you when you were first introduced to it, but you reach the epiphany that it's a magical time of year because it's about what you have and not what you don't. And it's about who you have and not who you don't. And it's about, even if people are not still with you in the physical presence at the holidays, they are with you in a magical spiritual sense. And the epiphany of that, and sometimes life forces you to understand that, but that's the actual true meaning beyond the obvious theological base of it, of what Christmas is. And we can sit here with the Colts NFL season, and we can dwell on what is missing, and we can dwell on what fell short, and we can dwell on the fact that it is a season that later in the season, the magic of what we envisioned it to be is different. The first half or the first third of the Colts season, we were all wide-eyed telling Santa what it was that we were dreaming was going to happen. They're going to go to the Super Bowl. Jonathan Taylor is going to win Most Valuable Player. Daniel Jones, even though he is not eligible for it, is going to be the de facto comeback player of the year. Shane Steichen's going to be up for Coach of the Year. Daniel Jones is going to lock into a long-term contract because they found their answer and they've got an offense that's like the greatest show on turf. That's how it was when we were wide-eyed, still magically looking for the hue of the red light around midnight and putting out cookies by the fireplace. But as the year has gone on, things change a little bit. Certain people aren't there that you thought were going to be there. Certain people are not as present as they were at the beginning of the season. And you have two ways to look at it. One is to get angry about it, and then the other is to say, but I'm going to look at this in totality, and I'm going to appreciate and grasp and understand the true meaning of what this means as a whole. And from a Colts standpoint, you look at the season, And yes, maybe it's premature to do this until they are technically mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. But you can look at it, and what you have to do then is say, okay, instead of dwelling on what we didn't get, instead of dwelling on who's not here, let's figure out and let's appreciate what we do have and where we build from that. And there is the distinct possibility that means that some faces are not going to be at the Christmas table moving forward. It's still the same football team. It's still the same franchise, but do you have to make some changes there? Or are there some players that they themselves decide? You know, DeForest Buckner's future, to be honest with you, I don't know that it's this year, but I think a retirement for DeForest Buckner may be, and I'm not saying like in the next couple of weeks, but it is possible that that's something that happens with more expedition than the Colts had initially thought maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Other players, as I laid out for you on Tuesday, there are other players that you look at and you say, is it time to move on from that and reshape things and reform things? Possibly. And there's plenty of time to get into that conversation. But for right now, there's part of me deep down that thinks, you know what? I don't know what's to be gained by sitting here. We basically blowtorched it on Tuesday, right? So why not just say, you know what? It's still the holiday season. It's still the weekend, and you've got the Colts and the Jags coming up at Lucas Oil Stadium, and it's the home finale, and how lucky are we to have an NFL team, and let's see what Phillip Rivers can do, and let's see if they can somehow slow down one of the hottest quarterbacks right now in the league in Trevor Lawrence, and whether or not that's legit for Trevor Lawrence, I don't know. Eddie, you've been on the Trevor Lawrence inconsistency roller coaster bandwagon for a while, right?
I was. And I'm starting to shift the other way. Like I can see what you've been seeing, but to the last, whatever it is, 5-6 weeks where it's 14 passing touchdowns and no interceptions, he hasn't really displayed that. And now he has a competent coach in Liam Cohen who is just a mastermind offensively. And they're getting the right pieces around him. Travis Etienne is healthy. I think that's a big role for that offense.
That's a big part of it.
Yeah, and he hasn't been healthy the last 2 years, and it's resulted in a lot of pressure being put on Trevor Lawrence. And I think Trevor Lawrence is actually healthy too. He's been dealing with, knee injuries, shoulder injuries each of the last couple of years, and now that he's healthy, he's got a stable offensive system around him. He's starting to, show why he was such a high coveted pick coming out of Clemson.
The Rose Bowl, by the way, Indiana, Alabama. We're going to discuss that today. We're going to go down to Alabama coming up at about 2 o'clock and talk to somebody that covers the Tide, get their perspective on it. JP Shadrick, who you mentioned from Jacksonville, going to join us on the program today. That'll be coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. We'll probably have some Pacers discussion as well. And there's a lot to talk about. Sometimes, Eddie, I think on this show we talk things into fruition. Sometimes we talk things into reality. You've heard me discuss, and I know I mentioned kind of in a passerby thought. I mentioned in a passerby thought last week that I had this feeling, and I'm not saying it's correct. But I had this feeling. About 6 or 7 years ago, I remember one day just saying, like waking up literally and saying to myself, I feel like the NFL is getting this fatigue factor for people. This was like, it might have even been 8 years ago when I felt this, 8 or 9 years ago. It was a while ago. I'm like, I feel like the NFL has this fatigue factor. And that all of a sudden, kind of like hard alcohol, if you drink too much hard alcohol, you're like, no, I'm good, I'm fine. And then all of a sudden, boom, it hits you like all at once. And it was like that. It was like this. It wasn't a gradual thing. It was an instantaneous societal epiphany that the NFL 10 or so years ago had this fatigue factor. And I began thinking it, and I remember saying on the radio exactly that. And literally within 6 months, the NFL caught itself in the middle of a web of societal discussion and political discussion and this crossroads of all this stuff. And the Thursday night games were not very good, and they were still not on streaming but on regular cable, and it was just everywhere. And literally you started hearing this conversation of people of like, man, I don't know what it is, but my interest level in the NFL has dipped. This was like a decade ago. Now, it has come back full throttle. I think it's probably healthier now than it's ever been. But I remember feeling that, and what I was feeling was it was such an obvious thing within just in the air that you couldn't help but feel it. And so that's how I even noticed it. You now have, for me, the next thing that I've had this feeling about. And I don't know that it's going to like the NFL did at that time. And again, I want to make clear, the NFL has more than come back from that dip that it suffered. It's more than come back. But the feeling in the air the scent that I just looked around and thought, am I the only one who's noticed this? And I mentioned it last week, and I can't remember if, Eddie, you were here or it was one of the days that you were doing the lighting stuff. But I had this weird feeling, and it's not just because we live in Indiana. And I know Purdue is, I think, the best team in college basketball, but certainly a top 5 at the, if you want to point out rankings, whatever else. Michigan's very good. I get it. And they're in our market. I get it. But the big sports story, collegiately speaking, in the last 3 months in Central Indiana is clearly that of Curt Cignetti and the Indiana Hoosiers. And IU football becoming the best program in the country. Not hyperbole there, fact. At least as of right now. Now, it changes but they are the number 1 seed of every team in Division I college athletics that has a football team. Every school that has a football team in Division I that has an opportunity to get to the college football playoff. Of all of them, only one can be ranked number 1, and it's your Indiana Fighting Hoosiers. And maybe it's for that reason. In Indiana, primarily a basketball school. Branch McCracken, Everett Dean, Marv Huffman, Bob Knight, all of it. Tom Crean. And now, of course, a new head coach and new look. But Indiana's always been a basketball school. And now all of a sudden, all the IU fans, everything's about why not Indiana from the football side of things, right? And I began to wonder, and maybe that's what biased me here, but I felt this shift that's happened for like the last 5 to 7 years, and we were naive to it because we live in Central Indiana, and we have Indiana and Purdue, and for that matter, Butler, and all the different schools here in the area that are big-time programs, right? And have had success. But I began to feel like there was this shift getting away from the enthusiasm, the passion for college basketball, and that college basketball's, the interest level from a fan standpoint was dipping and college football was surging. And maybe I'm biased because of the Indiana factor, but I don't think so. I think nationwide, this is becoming a thing. And as I'd mentioned last week, if you look at the prime era of college basketball, John Wooden was in L.A. and getting players from New York. And yes, I mean, you can say what you want about how those players were acquired. I get it. Al McGuire was a colorful personality. Dean Smith was this legendary, long-standing coach coming off of Frank McGuire at North Carolina. Bob Knight was this polarizing figure at Indiana. Jim Boeheim was this quirky old curmudgeon that before that was this math science wizard that came up with this brilliant zone that nobody could figure out. John Thompson was a larger-than-life figure that wore the towel over his shoulder, and Louis Carnesecca wore a sweater. And then John Thompson and Louis Carnesecca, when they were ranked 1 and 2, John Thompson opened up his sport coat to show that he had on the Carnesecca sweater. And Guy Lewis had a towel that he threw out on the floor against Scooter McRae. And Jerry Tarkanian had a towel that he chewed on the sidelines. And there were colorful characters and personalities and dynamic ebb and flows of college basketball, and this program's cheating and this program's not, and everything else, and the Final Fours and all of it. And it's been, and still is, but it's been March Madness, the creme de la creme. But all of a sudden, it seemed to me, seemingly overnight, that I thought about it, and I'm like, North Carolina's basketball coach is a legacy who's a nice guy, but there's nothing about him that jumps out, and you wonder how long he's going to be there. And Kentucky's basketball coach is a legacy who's a nice guy, but there's nothing about him that really jumps out, and you wonder how long he's going to be there. And Louisville's head coach is a quirky guy, and he's a little in your face, and I like him. And you think that he's going to be there for a while, but you also wonder if he's going to wear out on people. And Kansas's head coach has had like health challenges, and you wonder how long he's going to be there now, even though he's a fabulous coach and a good dude and all that. But this latest news in college basketball, Baylor signing a player in the middle of the year that was a draft pick in the NBA who had not yet played a college game because he was coming from overseas, and now he's been drafted into the NBA, but even with an NBA team having his draft rights, he decides that he wants to instead go to college, and the NCAA clears it. And I jokingly said, like a month ago, what's going to stop this eventually from Romeo Langford saying, you know what, I got 3 years left at Indiana? Or Steph Curry saying, I got a year left at Davidson. Or Giannis saying, I got 4 years. I can go play in Marquette on Tuesdays and Thursdays and play for the Bucks on Saturday. And that seemed ludicrous. But the fact that the NCAA now, and I get this, in today's day in free market enterprise of name, image, likeness, and in other sports, we've been seeing this forever. I don't damn the players for it. I don't damn the universities for it. But college basketball as we know it today looks different than the magic of college basketball when you were sitting by the tree waiting for your parents to wake up to unpack the magic of Christmas. Things change. Father Time is undefeated. Things evolve. Things grow. And it's about finding the magic within it that gave you that magic from the get-go that made you fall in love with the idea and the concept of something. But it feels like college basketball now with this literally instantaneous change, this sudden, like, boom in terms of this. And you could see it coming, don't get me wrong. But when they now clear for a guy who had been in the NBA draft and now he is, instead of the NBA draft, he's going to go into college, and how long is he going to be there? And what happens if on March 1st, the team that drafted a player says, you know what, we do want that guy after all. You're right. We're going to give you X amount of dollars. And boom, he signs, and now they need him, and they guarantee him a starting spot in the NBA. And the ebb and flow of the players coming and going with that, or knowing where they're going, or understanding or trying to predict or grasp the likelihood that they are going to be staying in a program. It feels to me like that is absolutely a to-the-nose punch to the popularity of college basketball. People will eventually, as we do, figure it out, and once the shock is overcome, I think people will come back to the table and be like, you know what? It just looks different, but the magic is still the same. But for right now, it is a jolt to the system. A jolt to the system for college basketball, and I think it could have serious implications on the popularity and the revenue of that sport, at least in the short term versus long. But when we come back, we mentioned it, the Colts on Sunday. Could they actually be going out in what would then be an exhibition game, and how does that impact one of the most important positions on the field? I'll explain what I'm talking about on the other side. JP Shadrick down in Jacksonville coming up top of the hour. It is a Friday Merry Christmas edition. Query & Company here, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
Hey, it's Jake Query. I've been talking a lot about winning football in Indy lately, but how about winning lunch? You could lose lunch with an overpriced sandwich meal or average greasy fast food, but why would you want to do that? It's so easy to win with lunch with Chicago's Pizza. Right now, the Chicago's Pizza team is prepping fresh ingredients and freshly made crust ready to bake right before you arrive. You can get deep dish pizza, traditional pizza. You can choose thin or crispy crust. All amazing. And you can add a large healthy salad with homemade ranch dressing from the salad bar, hot fresh made breadsticks with marinara or cheese sauce, a fountain drink and dessert pizza. And you have a winning lunch right there at a great price. It's fresh and delicious, all for just $13 all in. This is a no-brainer deal. Get in, get great food, and get out fast. It's Chicago's Pizza all-in $13 lunch buffet. Get it weekdays from 11 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. at 18 Indiana area locations, 25 statewide. Find the closest location near you at chicagospizza.com. Be a winner at lunch at Chicago.
This year, make Christmas cash with Farnsworth Metal Recycling. Ray's Demolition and Farnsworth Metal Recycling, family owned in Indy for 3 generations, are names you know and trust. Bring in your scrap aluminum, steel, copper, or brass and turn it into holiday spending money. Whether you're decking the halls, buying gifts, or just want a little extra jingle in your pocket, cash is king at Farnsworth.
Farnsworth Metal Recycling, a familiar face in Indy.
Dan owed an unbelievable amount of money to the IRS.
I got behind on my taxes. It's a horrible feeling.
He was in denial.
And when I got those letters from the IRS, you wanted to act like they didn't exist.
Finally, Dan turned to Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima got me a settlement with the IRS. These people are really people-friendly. It was every bit of a new lease on life for me.
The fast action and the great results made Dan's head spin.
I felt like I was in a dream, but it's real, and I have paperwork to prove it. They got the job done, and life is good.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation.
If you're worried about what's going to happen with the IRS, stop worrying. Make the call now.
Call 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Actual price will depend on product and subscription plan. Featured products are compounded drug products, which the FDA does not approve or verify for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. See website for details, restrictions, and important safety information.
Want a boost in and out of the bedroom? Hims has you covered. Introducing a new 2-in-1 approach to level up your game. Tadalafil for better bedroom performance and zinc for testosterone support. Put it all together and you've got what you need to turn things all the way up. Getting started is simple. Just go to hims.com/joy to start your free online visit. Through Hims, you can access ED treatments including pills, chews, and more. 100% online. No office visits, no pharmacy lines. Just fill out a simple intake form and a licensed medical provider will determine if treatment's right for you. If prescribed, it ships free and discreetly to your door. Find affordable treatment options at up to 95% less than brand names at hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy, HIMS.com/JOY.
It's JMV for Indiana's Best. My friend Eric Wilson and Andy Moore Buick GMC, 131st and State Road 37. It's in Fishers. Check it out right now. The GMC Acadia, good for you, the family, and the friends of the family. Inventory. Car buying experience, service after the sale, the absolute best. It's one-stop shopping. Ask for Eric Wilson and head to Andy Moore Buick GMC, 131st and State Road 37 in Fishers.
Mattress Firm's once-a-year sale and clearance is here. Their sleep experts will help find your dream bed from a quality selection. They make sleep easy.
The Ride with JMV.
Final score tonight, the San Francisco 49ers 48 and the Indianapolis Colts 27.
I know again that you've been injured, but you're playing against a team that doesn't want to hear anything about excuses because they're missing everybody. And the coaching staff clowned the Colts. And what it did, it just magnified how this hasn't worked and it's not gonna.
The Ride with JMV.
Weekdays 3 to 6
on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. Query and Company on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Eddie, in terms of last night, I know you mentioned that you watched several holiday movies.
Yes.
What was the best Christmas gift you got, by the way?
I got a new phone.
Oh, really?
That was the only gift I got.
Now, do you mind me asking what phone?
The iPhone 17 Pro Max. There you go.
And that has now that's different. What did you have before that?
think the 13.
So what have you noticed is the major difference? And let me give you this heads up, by the way. I'm assuming with the new iPhone 17 iMacs that you have, right? That phone, I'm assuming, automatically puts in, and everyone says this every time they do the update because it becomes new and you're unfamiliar with it. But I cannot be the only one that feels this way. I cannot be the only one that feels this way. The new update on the iOS or whatever it's called on the iPhone, I think I'm on 26.1 or whatever it is terrible. Everything's the opposite of your muscle memory. And I know that eventually you get used to it. It's like I said, today is about like the adjustment of expectation Friday, right? All of it. But also like videos freeze now and all kinds of, like never. And I did not intentionally upgrade to it. My phone did it automatically in the magic of the night. Like little elves came in, like the ones that you light at the fairgrounds, and they did it for me.
Yeah.
So what is different about your phone than the one you previously had?
There's some like Apple Intelligence stuff in here. I don't fully know. I haven't really.
Apple Intelligence.
Yeah, like it's like Apple AI essentially.
Okay. So you got a new phone that cost people jobs. That's cool.
I don't know if it did or not.
Any other distinctive differences that you've noticed?
Camera qualities improvement is better.
I've also noticed this. Everyone talks about how on my phone, you need to get the new phone because it's got a better camera. And I said, my phone is perfectly sufficient. My phone, the camera on my phone has like, I kid you not, I notice now the pictures, once I take them, they're like, they come in grainier. And I think that this is another one of those things where they're doing that intentionally. They're making me have to go get the new phone. But either way, last night from a sports viewing standpoint, did you opt for NBA or NFL?
I didn't opt for a lot of sports viewing yesterday.
Okay. Understandable.
I think I watched a little bit of the Commanders and the Cowboys. I watched briefly a little bit the tail end of the Broncos and the Chiefs game, and then maybe a series or two of the Vikings and the Lions. And I saw the Thunder lose to the Spurs a little bit of that one, and then Cavs and the Knicks to start the day. But I didn't watch them for long periods, like 5-10 minutes maybe each.
By the way, in the Query and Company Fantasy Football League, in which Chicago's Pizza is, I think, probably going to win the league, which is funny because the prize, of course, the coveted prize that everybody wanted was the gift cards to Chicago's Pizza. But I'm in, I think, the 7th place game.
I'm in the 3rd place game.
This is my complaint with fantasy football in general this time of year and the challenge of it, okay? I had, and yeah, I mean, my team is like literally middle of the pack, but I was conscientious enough to go in and look at my roster, and I'm like, and nobody cares about your fantasy team, I realize, but people can relate to this. And the running back, one of the running backs that I was going to start was doubtful, so I went literally and dropped somebody who had been placed on IR like on Monday and picked up a new running back, and it was a running back for Washington. And I have Washington's, the back yesterday that was so good for them. Krosky Merritt, I have him. I've had him all year. But he was injured. So I went with the guy that was going to fill in for him. Well, that guy then gets listed as out, like right at the kick.
Chris Rodriguez?
Yes.
Yeah.
There was no indication of that. None.
Illness. It's going around.
I mean, come on, right? So now I have a guy that is, you didn't know he was out until like the time in which you can't do anything about it.
Yep.
And that's one of the frustrating things about fantasy football at this point in the year. But there are so many uncertainties and questions in general. So let's get to the questions of what it means for the Colts and their postseason chances. When you are getting set on Sunday to go to Lucas Oil Stadium and watch the game, and hopefully you're going to swing by the Slippery Noodle for the pregame tailgate. But it is possible that you are going in and seeing a game that does not impact the Colts' playoff chances. Because the way it is, what the Colts need to get into the playoffs, they need to win out, and they need Houston to lose their final two. So if Houston beats the LA Chargers, then the Colts are out. Correct, Eddie?
I believe so, yes.
Even then, tiebreakers come into play if everything falls their way. But as it stands right now, that's where things are. If the Colts sit back tomorrow and watch Houston win in Los Angeles against the Chargers, if Houston wins that game, Colts are out.
Does Phillip Rivers start Sunday if that's the case?
That is the other great question. And I would think no, don't you?
Would it be hard to go from planning all week with Phillip Rivers as your starter to pulling the rug on Saturday night or Sunday morning to, hey, we're going to start Riley Leonard?
I think Phillip Rivers may start. And I think it might be smart for him to start. And when they play Houston in Houston in the final week of the season, I think even if the Colts are eliminated altogether, I think it's possible Phillip Rivers may start. And I think it might be smart for him to start. And I've heard people say, why not go with Riley Leonard? He's the future. I don't know that he is. He's not the future in terms of certainly a starter, and he may not be the future in terms of their backup. He is a guy that they put on the roster because you feel like 3 years from now he could be a guy that you have some things to develop from him, and you didn't expect to have to call his number or even have him in discussion this early. But there is a very specific reason why I think it might be in the best interest of the Colts to start Phillip Rivers for 2 more games. Crazy as that sounds, and I'm not saying it even happens, but there might be a reason why it's in their best interest. And I'll explain that to you and lay it out for you next.
Make this your year. Looking for a new career in the high-demand fields of IT and cybersecurity? Attend classes live, online, or on campus. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation today. Financial aid is available to those who qualify.
JMV here for Big Red Liquors, and starting in November, gift card bonus cheer can be handed out. If you buy a $50 gift card, get $5 free. Buy a $100 gift card, you're going to get $15 added to it. And if you buy a $200 gift card, tag 40 in a gift card, and Angels Envy free engraving with bottle purchase as well. All that and more going on right now at Big Red Liquors, 100 plus locations throughout the state of Indiana, spreading bonus cheer. Check out that location nearest you, bigredliquors.com.
Bowling, 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 keep them balls a-rolling. Bowling, 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 Royal Pin.
Ring in the new year at Royal Pin Entertainment's annual New Year's Eve celebration. Countdown to 2026 with a celebration the whole family will love. Get to Royal Pin from 9 p.m. to midnight on December 31st for 3 hours of fun and family-friendly excitement, including cosmic bowling, a complimentary appetizer board, a midnight toast, and a whole lot more. Each lane fits up to 6 guests. There's plenty of celebration to go around. So bring your friends, bring your family, and roll into 2026 with a bang. Spots fill up fast. Reserve your lane now at royalpin.com.
Set them up, knock them down, send them flying, spinning round.
Royal Pin Entertainment, where fun rolls into the new year.
Royal Pin, bowling, bowling. Royal Pin.
JMV here, and guys, you've heard of TRT, but you have no idea what testosterone can do for you. Once you start treatment, you'll wish you had done it sooner. Now you can take the TRT test for free at Center Gen X and Low T Center. Walk in before 10 a.m. or book ahead at fixmylowt.com. The place for guys to go is Center Gen X and Low T Center for TRT. The TRT test is free, not hundreds of dollars. The testosterone is pure, not compounded. Guys feel full of energy, not like they're still waiting for it to kick in. Get in in now for your free TRT test. No appointment necessary before 10 a.m. or book ahead at fixmylowt.com. Guys, you're going to wish you had started TRT sooner. Don't you just want to know your level? Find out with the free TRT test at Center Gen X and Low T Center. Walk in before 10 a.m. or book ahead at fixmylowt.com. That's fixmylowt.com. Center Gen X and Low T Center. Get that free T test today. fixmylowt.com.
Marcus Morris here with Family Heating and Air. As we're reaching colder weather, you may find yourself in need of furnace service. At Family, we specialize in solutions to extend your furnace life. Call the Fix-It team from Family. You can easily reach us at familyhvac.net. From our family to yours, have a happy holiday.
Family Heating and Air is your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Soccer Saturday featuring Indy 11. If this is your football, this is your show. Saturday at 9 on The Fan. Query and Company on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Jake Query, Eddie Garrison. Query Company is the name of the program here on 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Merry Christmas to all of you, or whatever it may be that you celebrate. Hope you had a fabulous Christmas. And if you are out and about returning gifts, doing whatever it may be, and you are including us in your day-to-day, I thank you for that. Okay,
Happy Boxing Day.
What's that?
Happy Boxing Day.
Do you know what that means?
Yeah.
I used to think it meant like people were going out and punching each other.
Of course you did.
Mm-hmm. You're boxing everything up and taking it back. That's a British and the Brits and then the Canadians followed that up, and then we, of course, said, oh, that sounds cool. But does Boxing Day now just mean that you've got to go over to Fresh Market and return everything on Amazon? Is that what that means?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a great question.
After the San Francisco game, I found it fascinating to watch the mic'd up version with Phillip Rivers. And, when Phillip Rivers threw his first touchdown and he's on the field and he's doing that gyrating dance he was doing. And it is fun and it is amusing to hear him, the dadgummits and all that. I mean, it's good stuff. After the game, though, when he was talking to John Lynch, he says, no, man, I feel good. I feel great. I missed it. I feel great out there. And that's a guy at 44 that is coming off of the street. He's not been doing I'm sure he's been doing conditioning, but there's nothing like NFL conditioning that you've got to do. That's a guy in Phillip Rivers, keep in mind, that for 4 years now has been eating not NFL chef cuisine. I mean, I don't know that people realize the Pacers locker room. The Colts. I mean, they have both in the facility and on game day, at least for the Pacers standpoint, they have a kitchen there with chefs on staff that literally for every player, they know what that player's body, that their blood type, what they best feed off of, pardon the pun, etc. Custom made for every player to put every player in the maximum shape and condition. And Phillip Rivers is feeling good without even any of that benefit. Therefore, if you look at the quarterback situation of the Colts moving forward, I believe firmly that the Colts' best option at quarterback for the 2026 season, meaning next season, their best option at quarterback is Daniel Jones. And that's Daniel Jones coming off of a mended Achilles tendon. We don't know his level of effectiveness and mobility. But we know that Anthony Richardson's going to be in a contract year. Anthony Richardson has been very inconsistent. Anthony Richardson, there's question even about his vision in general, literally and figuratively. And Anthony Richardson, there is question about the relationship that Shane Steichen, or the trust is a better way of saying it, Shane Steichen has in him. They can't go and draft a quarterback. They can, but we know that it's going to be at the best case scenario, a second-round pick. And we know, I mean, the Colts swung and missed on taking a quarterback in the top 5 and didn't put the right pieces or steps around him or handle it then. So how do we anticipate they're going to do so if it's a second-round pick? Daniel Jones gives them the most long-term stability if they can sign him, maybe to a 2-year prove-it deal. They're going to get him at less money than what it would have cost him. If Daniel Jones had not gotten hurt, and the Colts right now were standing at, and yeah, I don't think that anybody was anticipating that at this point in the year the Colts were going to be 13-2 or 12-3. But let's say right now they're 11-4. And Daniel Jones is healthy and he's still playing. Yeah, he started to regress a little bit, and Pittsburgh did expose a little bit about what you do to get him uncomfortable. But if all of those things were true, he was about to sign a 3 to 4 year, $35 million per year contract. I would assume if you franchise tag him, it's going to be extremely costly. Kevin's pointed that out, Kevin Bowen. But if you sign him to a 2-year deal right now, I would think you can get him at a much more economic price tag than you would have in the situation I just laid out. So you bring him back, but you say, we believe that Daniel Jones, when he comes back in, we want to make sure that we're giving him time to ease back into the water. We're going to give him time to make sure that the Achilles is healthy, to make sure that he is in rhythm, to make sure that his timing is there, all of those things. And the way that we're going to do that is we are going to, and yes, there are many that say, Ralph Reif, who knows this stuff better than anybody, in my opinion, said on this show, he believes that Daniel Jones may actually be creating a lot of optimism by May, and then by, say, September, could be ready to go. But that, again, is not having been out there getting. And, yes, Phillip Rivers just showed you can get in there with feel and timing and get that. But getting into the playing shape, it's going to take a while. So, based on all of that, is it in the Colts' best interest to start Phillip Rivers for the next 2 weeks because of the fact that you believe there is the possibility that you bring him back next year if he wants? He feels great. He's missed it. He loves being out there. The juice is flowing for Phillip Rivers. And Phillip Rivers knows, and Shane Steichen knows, and Chris Ballard knows that if you bring back Phillip Rivers, you are not bringing him back with the assumption that you are going to be starting him beyond, say, 2 to 4 games next year. So you get him you pay him a minimal amount of money, or whatever the vet minimum is, and Rivers probably would be like, hey, you know what? Chance to stamp myself back into the Hall of Fame and pick up a little extra cash? Cool. Let's do it. Good motivation for the kids I coach in high school football to see what I'm doing. So you start him these last 2 games to continue his reacclimation of timing and familiarity with reps, with Michael Pittman and with Tyler Warren and with Jonathan Taylor and Alec Pierce, knock on wood, and hope that Alec Pierce comes back. But is it in their best interest to do that regardless of outcome this year because of the possibility that Phillip Rivers is going to be your starting quarterback for 1 to 3 games to start next year before he hands the keys back over to Daniel Jones? That is breaking news, Eddie. Yes, sir.
Colts out on the practice field currently. This is from James Boyd. On the injury report this week, it's been 2 estimated practices. It was a walkthrough on Wednesday for the Indianapolis Colts. They did not practice yesterday with it being Christmas. He did not see DeForest Buckner dealing with that neck injury that he just returned on Monday against San Francisco from on the practice field today, which means if it is true that he did not practice in a limited capacity today, he was an estimated DNP on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Not looking good for DeForest Buckner for Sunday's game, if that's the case.
And I'm telling you, keep an eye on the long-term prospect of DeForest Buckner as a Colt. And the fact that DeForest Buckner is a fabulous player. And by all account, from what I can tell, fabulous teammate. Fabulous leader. DeForest Buckner has been, since the time he was acquired by the Colts, he has been everything that you would want. He has been the consummate pro. He's been the one guy on that defensive line that you could count on game in and game out. And a leader and a good dude all the way around. Nothing but good things to say. But it also would not surprise me if DeForest Buckner looks at it and says, I now, not once but twice, have had to go to Europe for stem cell research. I am dealing with a neck injury. And since the Indianapolis Colts have acquired me, I've won a playoff game. It would not surprise me at all if, let me rephrase that, surprise me maybe, wouldn't shock me though if DeForest Buckner, maybe not this year, but just eventually prematurely said that. That's it. More news from Eddie Garrison.
On the Indiana Pacers side of things, Jake, they have signed Micah Potter, former standout with the Wisconsin Badgers, and in a subsequent moves, James Wiseman's 10-day contract has expired, and they have waived Garrison Matthews.
Really? Okay,
Yes.
that surprises me a little bit. So what does that mean for James Wiseman?
He is back out on the open market.
Oh, so you're saying James Wiseman, the 10-day contract, they did not pick that back up is what you're saying, right?
Correct, yeah.
By the way, this is the only thing I can tell you. Do you know what you get if you combine their newest signing, Micah Potter, with the shoulder area of Jay Huff?
You get one hairy man.
Harry Potter.
Yeah.
That's what you get.
Yeah.
See how I do that?
Yeah.
And then they
Nice
can play.
job.
And you would think they would play for the Wizards, right? That's what I do. I'm here all week. Did you get a hold of JP?
Yes, sir.
JP Shadrick, Jags.com.
Of course. I don't know if he's in town yet meeting all the single ladies.
That's right. We'll have to catch up on that, right?
Yeah.
Find out if Santa brought him game for Christmas. JP from Jacksonville, Jaguars.com joins us next.
This is the Fan Morning Show.
Ross Tucker, are you under the belief or think the Colts should bring everybody back, including Daniel Jones, for 2026?
I am. That's not to say that there shouldn't be some tweaks. I honestly think they have a really good team. Buckner doesn't get hurt. If Gardner doesn't get hurt, I would try to keep the band together as much as possible. I think it's better than whatever other alternatives would be out there.
It's the Fan Morning Show. Weekday mornings on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
I'm Mark Boyle, voice of the Indiana Pacers. For your best shot at better water, go local with C&J Water. They're Hoosiers serving Hoosiers, bringing cleaner, safer, better-tasting water to homes across central Indiana. When you purchase a new water softener in November or December, C&J Water donates to the Pacers Foundation, helping those in need here at home. Better water for your family, helping those in need at home and abroad. For your best shot at better water, trust the local pros at C&J Water.
Get ready to hoop. It's back. Time to try your skills around Indy locations with Michelob Ultra's Mini Hoops Challenge. Michelob Ultra Mini Hoops Challenge gives you a chance to win a Michelob Ultra basketball jersey and punch your ticket to the Mini Hoops Finals, where a trip to see Indiana versus Milwaukee in Milwaukee on February 6th is on the line, complete with a hotel gift card and $100 Visa gift card. Visit 1075thefan.com today to see all the locations and details.
Food insecurity is an urgent problem, one that impacts real Hoosiers. You can help today. Gleaners needs donations. Your contribution goes further with Gleaners. For every $10 you give, Gleaners leverages their resources to turn your $10 into $90 worth of groceries for families who desperately need help right now. Your gift benefits local community members, and every dollar counts. Gleaners also needs volunteers now to help with warehouse distribution. Go to gleaners.org and donate or get involved today.
Lose weight or stop smoking with hypnosis, guaranteed or your money back. Only $59.99 $1.49. Destroy unwanted cravings, late-night eating binges, boredom eating, stress eating. Also destroy your desire to smoke without cravings, irritability, or weight gain, or your money back. Hypnosis, January 29th at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites in Noblesville. Weight loss of 5:30 p.m., stop smoking at 8. And January 31st at the Holiday Inn Indianapolis Airport. Weight loss 11 a.m., stop smoking at 2. Register at markpatrickseminars.com.
Julia owed the IRS thousands.
I was paralyzed with fear.
Then
I heard a commercial for Optima Tax Relief.
Optima Tax Relief is the leading tax resolution firm. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau and experts in the Fresh Start Initiative.
Optima Tax Relief settled my IRS tax bill.
Call Optima now for a free consultation.
It was amazing.
Call 800-259-8642. 800-259-8642.
Optima Tax Relief.
Visit OptimaTaxRelief.com for details.
From the DriveHubler.com studios, this is 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
WIBC HD2, W298BP, WIBC HD3, W228CX, Indianapolis. The Ohio State Buckeyes take on the Miami Hurricanes in the Cotton Bowl. Wednesday night at 7 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
All the single ladies, 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 all the single ladies.
This is Query and Company on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Inadvertently, when we were discussing with our friend J.P. Shadrick down in Jacksonville before the Colts and Jags were playing in round number 1 down in Jacksonville, I simply asked a question if he was a married fellow, and he said no. And then I believe later he said something along the lines of, like, let the ladies of Indy know. Now, most of the ladies in Indianapolis that are single are probably out doing today returning gifts, right, Eddie?
And single ladies of Indianapolis, please reach out. That's great, will you?
Again, that's our friend JP from the first go-round. Now, here it is. The time has arrived. And this might be the biggest storyline of the weekend, at least from the Colts standpoint of things. But joining us now on the Java House Peel and Pour guest line, javahouse.com for, by the way, amazingly smooth Colombian coffee. Also, the Liquid Science Hydration Energy Drink, Hydration Drink and Wrangler Energy Drink. Jake 25, the discount code. JP joining us now on the program. JP, first off, Merry Christmas to you.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. That's quite a memory you guys have. I didn't realize that made such an impression on everyone there.
The dulcet tones of J.P. Shadrick. I mean, and we've been anticipating it. I mean, and I think, to be honest with you, a lot of the single ladies of Indianapolis have been waiting and circled this on the calendar.
Well,
if you really want to know the truth.
Unfortunately, I'll be stuck in the studio in Jacksonville this week. I'm not making the trip.
Oh! Eddie, do you happen to have the breaking news sounder by chance, please, if you could? This just in, the reality show that was going to be JP's Love Select at Harry and Izzy's has been canceled for this weekend. Well, JP, thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you next year, all right? Hey, let's get to this. This is clearly, look, and you tell me what has been the difference for this Jags team, because this, very quietly, JP, this might be right now the hottest team in the NFL, and they seem to be on a different level, clearly, than they have been. They're playing their best ball at the best time. What has been the difference?
Well, I mean, the quarterback play is the difference. I mean, he is playing out of his mind right now. Or is it? I mean, that's the great question. Is it out of his mind, or is this the new level, the next step for Trevor Lawrence? And I think he's starting to prove that maybe he has taken a step. Is it the ultimate final step that he wants to be all the time? I don't know. There's still room for improvement. But that's been the number one thing, because they really haven't run the ball especially well over the last month or so since we saw you guys. But he has really been executing in the passing game at a very high level. And maybe not, statistically big numbers games, but big throws and big moments without hesitation and trusting everything in this offense right now. So for me, that's the number one thing. When you have everything else going well on defense, especially, and then all of a sudden you have the quarterback playing at a high level, that's something you just haven't seen around here in a long, long time.
The getting him playing at a high level, and we're talking about Trevor Lawrence, is that based on schematically they have changed things and more designed things to get him in comfort? Or is it simply a matter of, hey, he's getting protected and his weapons are healthy and now he feels in rhythm?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little bit of a combination of that. I mean, I think it's more just comfortability in the offense as the season has gone on. That's one thing. The verbiage of it, it's long-winded. They're getting to the line faster, and so they have all the pre-snap motions and reads that they can do. Early in the season, it was so verbose that they were late getting to the line, and it was hectic, and he wasn't comfortable. So they eliminated that pre-snap process so he can think clearly when he's at the line and has time to manage whatever he needs to. And then just letting it rip. I mean, they had a conversation about that. He and Liam Cohen did about, hey, man, don't worry about an interception. Don't throw 4 in a game, but if you throw 1, it's worth it if you get 3 or 4 shots down the field because of it. So since that conversation, it's been a really different feel for the quarterback. So I think it's a combination of it. They might be calling a few things different. Guys are catching the ball. I mean, that wasn't happening early in the season. I mean, you laugh, but that was a problem really early. I mean, I feel like they still lead the league in drops from all the stuff early in the season. So reliability of the receivers, confidence in the passing attack, and then comfortability in this offense. It's all just kind of come together at the right time.
When you look, and I'm curious if Trevor Lawrence has discussed this at all, JP, because, and I've mentioned this before, JP Shadrick, my guest, Java House Peel and Port guest line from down in Jacksonville. When Lawrence was in college, and I think this is a challenge when assessing sometimes quarterbacks, he had all the intangibles coming out, right? But if you realistically look, he's throwing the ball to T. Higgins. He's throwing the ball to Amari Rodgers. He's throwing the ball to Justin Ross. He's throwing to guys that are at the collegiate level, a step and a half open on window, and timing doesn't have to be as precise. Has he ever discussed whether or not that was an adjustment for him, and maybe even adjustment that was continually delayed for him in Jacksonville?
Well, I think there was so many other things going on that was probably the least of his concerns when he first came in because of everything going on in the coaching situation here at the time. Remember, it was Urban Meyer, and it was all the off-the-field stuff. And he had some early moments in that season, like the game in Cincinnati, I think week 4, before the whole Urban Meyer thing, right? That trip. He actually played well and fought back in that game and used his legs and figured out a way. And, okay, this is a good step. But then it's all just kind of melted down around that. Yeah, and there is a little, I think, to what you're saying. Yeah, you have to lead guys properly here. You have to fit it and layer it into windows down the field. But, again, when there's not confidence in the line or inconsistency in the receiver play, it was, I think, probably a little hard for him to just let it loose. And, when he finally got to the playoffs, he threw the 4 picks. Well, then it's like we have nothing to lose. Just let it loose. And you saw how he played in the second half of that game. Just let it fly. And that's the Trevor Lawrence you want without the 4 picks, of course.
Can you elaborate? And I know at this point, especially for you, it's ancient history and it's a book that perhaps has been closed. But J.P. Shadrick, and I know you're with the Jaguars.com, but we hear about the Urban Meyer, for those that are unfamiliar with it, when they played Cincinnati, he stayed back in Ohio. He didn't go back to Florida with the team. That obviously created a lot of, what in the world? And then a photo came out of him in a bar that created a second what in the world. Was there even more to it than that per se, or was it just kind of the lack of presence, if you will?
I think there was a general lack of that. Those were the big things, obviously. And there's the other moments. There was problems with the kicker here, apparently allegedly kicked the kicker or whatever on the practice field, and some other things behind the scenes like that. So there was a series, I'm guessing, of events. I mean, that seems like it to me. It's not just one thing. That was the big one. And then it was pretty much all over from there, and they just had to kind of ride it as much as they could, and then it became untenable towards the end of that season. I think he got 13 games in before they finally made the change. So, that was another lost opportunity, and it just kind of extended what Shad Khan and the Jags ownership wanted to do. And then they ended up getting Doug Peterson in here and actually had some success for a couple of years, 2 9-win seasons under Peterson. And then, unfortunately, that didn't work out either. So here we are with Liam Cohen and in a really good spot, 11-win season so far.
If you look at the Colts season, JP, and yes, the Colts obviously had the quarterback injury situation. But at the same time, they got out to a great start. You can look back now and say, okay, maybe they got fat off some bad teams, right? If you take out, and beating the Chargers is impressive, beating Denver's impressive. You take that out, 20-55, the record of the teams the Colts have beaten. How much of this stability that Jacksonville has found could be potentially fool's gold because they also have been able to do it against the lack of meat of their schedule? Arizona, Tennessee, the Colts for that matter, the Jets, although winning against Denver is impressive. But is there any concern of that?
Well, they beat San Francisco in San Francisco, and they beat the Chargers.
Well, I mean the latest streak. I'm saying. I'm sorry. Just in terms of.
I mean, you want to talk about the latest streak? That's fine. I want to talk about the whole season. I mean, they've done some things early when they were a little inconsistent against some really good teams, and then I think going to Denver proved that, I'm with you, that some of those teams they were playing as of late and having some issues with in close games, Arizona, one of those, Vegas, one of those, they won those games. They found a way. They didn't beat Houston the second time because they gave up a 19-point lead in the fourth quarter, but that changed the whole mindset of this team, that they're never going to let that happen again. We've heard that here before over the years, and they've let it happen again, but they haven't yet. And the ultimate proof, I think right now at least, is that they went out to Denver, the number one seed, the number one defense in the league, allegedly, and put up 38 points on them. I mean, that and dominated the game. So that's you can play what's on the schedule, and they're beating everybody that's on the schedule right now in a lot of different ways.
Is there another area that, and it does appear as though you pointed out well, JP, and I appreciate it, that by and large, it's been consistent, right? I mean, they've been consistently, obviously, competitive all year long, but this isn't, you're right. You go back and you look, and Kansas City was in there too. I think you mentioned them early when they won 3
Monday
in a row.
Night Football. Absolutely.
Yeah. So when you look at that, are there other areas aside from quarterback play that perhaps have been overshadowed that were question marks going in that Jacksonville has addressed?
There were early in the season on defense, okay, how are they going to stop the run? It's a totally new scheme on defense, some new faces in there. Can they do that? Because they couldn't figure it out last season, especially against a team like the Colts with Jonathan Taylor. And I think as the season has gone along, it was the same idea, right? Okay, you haven't really played a great running team yet. Let's see if you can go play a good physical offensive line and defensively hold up against them. And they've improved that as the year has gone along. And that's been really a key to everything else. If they can stop the running game, then it sets up a little bit of the pass rush. They don't have big sack numbers, but they have some pressure numbers, which is not an official stat, I get it, but it causes things down the field to happen. So that's where the takeaway numbers are so high, second in the NFL, because the quarterback's rushed a bit. He's got to let it fly, tip ball, pick, So it all starts for me with the stopping of the run game. And those guys up front have really done a great job. Devon Hamilton is back to his form before his back injury a couple years ago. And that's a great sign for this defense moving ahead. If it's consistent down the stretch and into the postseason, they got a shot to make a run.
Parker Washington is a guy that was drafted. He was not a top pick. The Jaguars have spent resources on the receiver position in the last couple of years. But Washington and Thomas have very similar seasons statistically. Is one the primary over the other, JP, or is one appear to be or who is Trevor Lawrence's comfort player, if you will?
It's a good one. And I'd probably lean more towards, if I'm picking between those two, I would pick Parker Washington because he's the catch and run guy. And, he can catch it 5 yards and then run for 20 after. Brian Thomas is the down the field threat, vertical threat. And, he had some drops early in the season and on the in-breaking stuff was having trouble. They've kind of recrafted what he is involved in this offense. And Denver last week actually put Sertan on him most of the game, followed him around and kind of took him out. So Trevor Lawrence we got 3 or 4 other guys we can throw to here, and they did that. They spread the wealth. And the running back room has been big in the passing game too, and check down game if they have to go there. So it's a full hands-on deck situation, I think, in the passing game. But between those two, I mean, Parker Washington's playing the role of Christian Kirk in the playoff team a couple years ago, like the go-to guy, slot receiver, catch and run, get you 10 when you need 3rd and 8, and he's been really, really reliable so far for this team, and he's good in the punt return game too, clearly.
Again, JP Shadrick is our guest, joining us from Jacksonville. The real intriguing thing, and Jacksonville might be in this mix, JP, I mean, in terms of the answer of what I'm about to ask you. This year, to me, seems like almost more so than any of recent ilk, and this is the NFL by design. It is the hardest to answer this question, but I want your thought. Who's the best team in the NFL?
The best team in the NFL? Kind of teams are coming up and down. I would have said the Rams. I think they've got the veteran quarterback. They've got a really good defense and pass rushers, and they're really playing some good football right now. The running game of Buffalo's great, and he they may not have the wins and loss totals, right, that everybody's looking for right now. But you don't want to see them in January. I got news for you because they've got some guys who can bring it. But I think, it's tough because the Rams have fallen off just a little bit. They blew out the Jags in London, so that's kind of fresh in my mind right now. So I guess I'm probably answering your question more of like teams I don't want to see in the postseason. But if you're seeing the Rams in the postseason, that means in the Super Bowl, so that'd be fine too.
Okay, I always ask this question. You ready?
Yeah.
And it's a little late in the year for this, but yet still this year it feels applicable. Give me the team that JP Shadrick looks at and you see the record and you are aware of the resume and everything about it you are impressed by, but deep down you're like, but I still don't know if they're good. And that's selling them short, but I'm still not – I just don't know. I'm not convinced.
I saw them last night, the Denver Broncos.
Yes.
I mean, the Jaguars went out there and put a number on them. And then last night at Arrowhead, the Chiefs' third-string quarterback had the football in his hands with 2 minutes to go, and with a chance. And yet, Bo Nix can do some things with his legs, and they've done some fine things on offense this year in their second year with Sean Payton. But boy, that was a depleted Chiefs team. They had so many guys injured. 2 starting corners were out. A bunch of offensive players. They're on their 4th tackle, I think, this year. I mean, so they were really down to the nitty-gritty, and Denver had them stay in the game because they had an interception, tip ball interception, short field, touchdown for Kansas City, and then they flipped the field on a punt return with the backup punt returner. So, that helped Kansas City stay in the game. Their best drive of the night for the Chiefs was the final drive that they couldn't finish. So I got some questions about Denver right now.
Okay.
I don't know what they are.
I totally agree with that, by the way. I'm going to give you 2 teams. I want you to tell me which one you would be more eager to buy. You ready? Seattle, Chicago.
Seattle's really stout up front on defense. But then Sam Darnold might Sam Darnold again.
Just going to say, do you trust?
You know what I mean?
And listen, he's a great story, and I don't know him, but I'm happy for the guy because he's. But do you trust him late in a game in a big moment?
Would you trust him or Caleb Williams?
Boy,
I don't know.
Yeah,
that's tough because they're both unproven.
Williams against Green Bay had a pretty big moment. I mean, he put it right where it needed to be. But I'm with you. He's young though, right?
Young guy, hasn't been in there yet. It's different when you get in the playoffs for the first time. How do you handle that? And you're right. That was a great throw at the end of that game. Unbelievable throw and catch. So maybe that gives them a little confidence. So I guess to answer your question, I'd probably lean towards Chicago.
Okay, let me give you one other one. Tell me which one of these, one old guard, the other is a Johnny-come-lately. You more buy, Philly or New England?
Philly's defense, man. They've got dudes, and I think whenever the time comes that they have to run the football, they got the horses to do that too. So, and New England's kind of the same thing. They got young quarterback, and are they really what they are? I don't know. I'd probably trust Philly because they've been there and done that before.
Fair. Hey, JP, can I mix in a little college with you? Because I know you obviously have some experience in the college game as well. Some
Yeah,
knowledge.
a little bit, sure. Yeah, I don't know about
okay.
that, but I've done some games.
College football playoff. I would like the outside observation, okay? College football playoff, in your mind, truly all things given equal in big moments. The best team in college football is who?
Oh, I think the best team. I mean, this year is Indiana. I mean, they've proven it. They went and won the Big Ten. They're probably going to beat Alabama, in my opinion. And you just keep on rolling. I mean, they've got the quarterback. They've got everything you want for. Now, is it sustainable for the long run? That's another argument altogether, considering the portal and the changes and the people leaving and all that after this year. But we're not there yet. They haven't even won a title yet. So I'd probably say I would have said Ohio State until they played head-to-head. And then there you go. I don't trust Alabama at all right now.
Yeah, so because Indiana and Indiana fans are curious about Alabama, we know the pedigree, we know the name recognition, we know Kalen DeBoer because he was at Indiana, but what about Alabama gives you pause and maybe you're saying that more about Alabama than you are confidence in Indiana, but what is it about Alabama that is susceptible?
Their run game stinks. They cannot run the football. They've tried all year, different running backs, whatever. And it's like the worst rushing attack since I was in school there, like 20 years ago. I mean, it's just terrible. So they can't consistently do that. So if you can affect the quarterback with them, if you get in his face or disguise things on the back end, he hasn't consistently proven, Ty Simpson, that he can overcome that. So that's a problem, I think, for Alabama, because they're going to have the big guys up front. They've got the beef. They can do that on defense. That's fine. And that they're still kind of that same big enough team defensively to kind of hang. They should have lost to Auburn. I mean, they had the big, long, sustained drive at the end to win that game, but they didn't put on a show at Jordan-Hare. Tough place to play, no matter what Auburn team walks out there. So I had that game, and I've got some concerns because if you can't run the ball when it matters, you got to lean on a quarterback that is inconsistent at times.
So what we know is this: the Alabama rushing attack is very similar to that of the mingling ability with the ladies of Indy by J.P. Shadrick. Precedent's there, history's there, but not present right now, right? Is that what we're getting at?
Yeah, it's kind of what it is. Yeah, I mean, it was there in the past, but not there in the present.
But that's not to say that there aren't recruiting efforts taking place to resurrect it for the future, right?
They won a couple of Heisman trophies before, but not right now.
All right, fair enough. Well, we'll let everybody know to make alternate plans for the weekend, right?
Yeah, good luck with that. I unfortunately it might just have to be a little bit later. Who knows?
All right, JP, I appreciate the time as always, man. Happy holidays to you. All right.
Always enjoy it, man. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, and enjoy the game this Sunday.
Appreciate it. JP Shadrick joining us on the Java House Peel and Pour guest line. Really good stuff there. And the college football playoff, it's interesting about Alabama because, and we're going to go down to Alabama here in about 35 minutes and further that discussion about the Crimson Tide, but the Alabama not being able to run the football, that is something that you, at least in the last, since the Nick Saban era, did not think that you, I mean, there was a time there. Remember Bo Scarborough? I mean, he was like seemingly.
I thought he was Derrick Henry 2.0.
Totally agree. And I think he had a leg injury, actually, to be fair to him. But, I mean, it seemed like they just would consistently replug and recycle 6'2", 230-pound, 5% body fat, just strong dudes, man.
Yeah.
I mean, Derrick Henry is, I think, the world of Derrick Henry, both as a player and by all accounts, everything I've read, as a guy. I mean, he is just, that guy just salts games for you. But for them to, maybe that does make them very vulnerable for Indiana because, and I know that their passing game, again, they always have, does Alabama, historically speaking at least, guys in space and open speed all over the field. But it is so surreal to me. And I realize it's a discredit to the listeners of this station. It's a discredit to the friends I grew up with that attended Indiana, along with myself. And it's a discredit to people who are fans of college football and Curt Cignetti and everything else. For me to admit to and say it is still surreal to me to hear that Indiana would be seen by people as the best team in college football and the best program right now in college football. And JP's right, the transfer portal and all of those things that come into play are going to make it difficult for a lot of people to sustain, and you can turn things around so quickly. Indiana, though, has positioned themselves. I'm telling you, the Indiana, when it comes to the NIL stuff and collectives and school marketing, money distribution, and the acquisition of players and all the things that come into it, Indiana was ahead of the curve from a lot of schools. And they had it locked and loaded and ready to go. They had a plan on how they were going to do this with NIL money and the way that they could recruit to it and with it and everything else. And then Cignetti is just on a whole different level in terms of preparation. I'm not down there. So it's disingenuous of me to say, like, I know for a fact because I've seen it firsthand. But I've talked to 3 different people that are as close as you can get to it that say, look, it's like savant level obsessiveness of film study, obsession, and finding, literally, it's like Indiana, and you could tell it when you watch them play. Every player on that field. It has nothing to do with where you've been. It has nothing to do with where you're going. It has everything to do with where you are in this moment. And in this moment for this week, you need to know your job is to watch this square area of the field and make sure that you are sealing off this square area. And these are the 3 guys that are going to try to get into that area, and you're going to get there before they are. And here's what you're going to look for out of their nuances that tell you when they're coming into this area, and you're going to seal it off. That's a simplified way of saying it, but literally that's their approach. And it has nothing to do with this guy had this many stars, or this guy does this, or this guy used to do that, or this guy is going to be playing here next year. None of that. About right now. And the preparation, you can see it. You can absolutely see the result of it each and every week. We're going to go down to Alabama in about 30 minutes. We come back into kind of a recap of the holiday and the Colts getting set on Sunday for Jacksonville. Pacers in action tonight as well, but we'll get back into where the heck Eddie was last week. Next.
It's JMV for BullseyeEventGroup.com, the Colts VIP tailgate presented by Hayes & Sons Restoration. All you can eat, all you can drink. Before each Colts home game, make your game day experience the best it can be. Entertained inside the Bullseye Event Center and the great food from celebrity chef Kelsey Murphy. That and more, and combo up your passes with tickets to the game. That's the BullseyeEventGroup.com Colts VIP tailgate presented by Hayes & Sons Restoration. Get your passes now. BullseyeEventGroup.com.
Career changers, including veterans and active duty service members. Your transition starts here. Go from GI to IT in a matter of months. Become a certified cyber warrior with training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, offering IT pros great opportunities and a rewarding lifestyle while protecting our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. Deploy your career in IT today at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP, an elite CompTIA certification partner.
VA education benefits are available to those who qualify.
JMV here for my friends at Premier Weight Loss. You know what's funny? When I was in my teens, body exploration meant something completely different than it does now that I'm 56 years of age. I can say now that it means, where am I on my weight loss journey? Down nearly 80 pounds. How about my body fat percentage? Down from 35% to 13%. Now it's time to add muscle mass, or lean mass, if you will, with the tone stimulation machine that they have at Premier Weight Loss. You can do the same. Weight loss journey and then tone up with Thomas and Samantha and the gang at Premier Weight Loss. It will work for you. That's PWLND.com. Mention my name. For the first 10 days in the month of December, you could win 2 lower-level tickets to see the Niners and the Colts. If you want to lose the weight, if you want to feel better, it's PWLND.com. You can do it. Tell them JMV sent you. PWLND.com today. JMV here, and guys, you've heard of TRT, but you have no idea what testosterone can do for you. Once you start treatment, you'll wish you had done it sooner. Now you can take the TRT test for free at Center Gen X and Low T Center. Walk in before 10 a.m. or book ahead at FixMyLowT.com. The place for guys to go is Center Gen X and Low T Center for TRT. The TRT test is free, not hundreds of dollars. The testosterone is pure, not compounded. Guys feel full of energy, not like they're still waiting for it to kick in. Get in now for your free TRT test. No appointment necessary before 10 a.m. or book ahead at FixMyLowT.com. Guys, you're going to wish you had started TRT sooner. Don't you just want to know your level? Find out with the free TRT test at Center Gen X and Low T Center. Walk in before 10 a.m. or book ahead at FixMyLowT.com. That's FixMyLowT.com. Center Gen X and Low T Center. Get that free T test today. FixMyLowT.com.
My name is Whitney Allen. I am a widow. My husband Ryan died. We never thought in a million years we'd have to use life insurance. The unexpected happened. With Ethos, it is so fast and easy. It's 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage through Ethos.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/game. That's ethos.com/game.
Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Baseball great Lou Gehrig was known as the Iron Horse for playing 2,130 consecutive games. But it was his reaction to his greatest challenge, the fatal diagnosis of ALS, that made Gehrig a household name and a beacon of strength for all those facing the disease. The Live Like Lou Foundation honors Lou's legacy and inspires hope for a world where ALS is no longer fatal. Donate or volunteer today at livelikeLou.org.
Do you own a small business? You need to hear this. A seismic shift is coming. It's time to get super sure. Not kind of sure, not pretty sure, but super sure. Coming soon.
The Ride with JMV.
This organization is in a really bad spot. And it's almost like you get that September and October that was so feel good that you go back to last January and I said, man, it is time to get rid of everybody. And had you done that, then you would be in, I would guess, no, honestly, you would be in a much better situation.
The Ride with JMV.
Weekdays 3 till 6
on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. Query and Company on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
I'm going to recap Eddie's week last week in just a second here. Before we do so, if you're just joining us on the program,
where have you been?
LGP sends out thoughts and prayers to me. Thank you. Over the fact that the Pacers today have waived Garrison Matthews. Because when they signed Garrison Matthews to a rest of the year deal, we had on Tony East right as that news came out, and we discussed it. And I actually brought it up because it was my observation. Also, it was the words of Rick Carlisle on this radio station when he does his weekly hit with the Fan Morning Show that they really liked Garrison Matthews and what he could bring to the table. And I did think that he was a player that could have been on the roster beyond this year when they signed him. And so, yeah, I mean, the fact that we talked about it for 5 to 10 minutes the day that he was signed, my apologies for talking about the transactions of the Pacers. But I think for someone who is brought in to be a designed outside shooter, there just wasn't the consistency perhaps from the outside shooting that they were looking for. But that news today coming out that Garrison Matthews has been waived, that is because Micah Potter has now been signed. They consistently this used to be the case a lot. I would see this with the Colts where the last roster spot or two would just kind of be like a revolving door of players they were bringing in to see what would stick, basically. And maybe that's what they're doing here. James Wiseman also is out. Micah Potter has been brought in. Garrison Matthews was waived, and James Wiseman was not signed to another 10-day contract with his 10-day deal expiring. So, Eddie, your last week, we had mentioned it. You did a fabulous job on the Indiana State Fairgrounds. Now, this was all
the Christmas Nights of Lights.
And so you were part of the team that was assembling, and this was fun, and kids love this. When you go through the Indiana State Fairgrounds, and they do a remarkable job, they wanted to put more of the kind of secret and subtle elves to look for when you drive through, and that was your role, correct?
Yeah, that's correct, Jake. And, of course, I got this role because of the Big Head Federation.
Correct.
We had the big old meeting, at the fairgrounds, and we were going over, even though I didn't make the cut, I was still helping out with lighting, hey, we need to get this lighting here so that we can show off how big this fella's head is and make sure it's the right angle.
And they
so
were
really
impressed by that,
yeah,
right?
Very impressed. They're like, hey, we've got the Christmas Nights of Lights coming up. You mind helping? I was like, sure, why not?
So there you go.
I love Christmas. I love Christmas lights. I love the fairgrounds. Why not help out?
So we did that on Tuesday evening after the Pacer game. So we went I had a fabulous time at the Ale Emporium on Tuesday with our friends from Zinc Distributing and Mick Ultra doing the Mini Hoops Challenge at Ale Emporium. Then I went from there to the Pacer game, Pacers and Bucks, and that got away from the Pacers quickly. Miles Turner, in terms of the ferocity of fan reaction, it was tempered from the first go-round, but it was still there. But that was one of those games where 10-point became 15-point, became 20-point pretty quickly in terms of the lead, and it got away from them. But after that, we went and did the State Fairground Lights, and all the credit in the world to the folks at the Indiana State Fairgrounds, because I've done that every year, and this was I thought this was the best year. I thought they did a phenomenal job, and what I like about it is all of it is Christmas themed, and then the touch of Santa at the end is pretty awesome.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Jake.
It was very cool. You said we have breaking news, Eddie.
Shane Steichen meeting with media following practice for the Indianapolis Colts. These players have been ruled out for Sunday's game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Center Tanner Bortolini recovering from a concussion. Drew Ogletree, I can't remember the neck. I think it's a neck injury for Drew Ogletree. I could be wrong there. JT Tuimoloau injured his oblique. Anthony Gould with a knee injury. Those players are all out. Sauce Gardner and Bernard Ryman will play. Not sure if there will be a pitch count on Sauce in his return. And some unfortunate news for DeForest Buckner. He re-aggravated that neck injury. He needs surgery. Thus, his season is over.
Okay, that's huge. I'm telling you, I have nothing but tea leaves by which to make this prediction or this uncomfortable feeling. It would not surprise me if DeForest Buckner, who has been everything that you have ever wanted since he was acquired here, would not surprise me if he just says, I'm good. Spent a lot of money. He was here. They had their chance to build something for him and with him, both defensively and as a franchise. And he has won a playoff game since he came here. And great player and great guy, great leader, all of it. And you feel for him. You do, but it would not surprise me if that leads to a retirement, quite frankly. I have nothing to base that on. I'm going to make very clear. I've been around it enough to see when players are fighting through something and where it just, everything from, Andrew Luck, I know that the timing wasn't great, but it's just when injuries start to mount and recount, it's just, I think psychologically it's very difficult. I know
he is
nothing.
31.
And
he
he's
turns
31.
32 in March.
Yeah, that's depending on the severity of that injury and, coming back from it. That's tough. We also did, by the way, Newfield's Lights. I do that every year, Christmas Eve tradition. It was very odd this year. Eddie, you tell me if this is the case with you. It was odd this year to walk through Newfields. It's not unprecedented. We've done it before. I don't like cold weather and I don't like snow, but it's the 30 to 45 minutes of the year that I would almost prefer it. Because walking through Newfield Lights, which seemed shorter this year, anybody else go to the Newfields Lights? It seemed shorter this year. Faster through the house and shorter path. Anybody else think that? And maybe that's just because you're not, I don't know, like it was like 65 degrees outside. It literally, I mean, it was like 58 degrees or something. And it just felt odd on Christmas Eve. But you mentioned that DeForest Buckner will not be playing for the Colts on Sunday. DeForest Buckner will not be playing for the Colts in Houston a week from Sunday. His season is complete. He's having surgery, something of which he was, to me, if you go to Europe to do stem cell therapy, then what's that?
It was Panama.
Or Panama, excuse me. He went to Europe before, didn't he? Or was it Panama both times?
Panama both times.
Okay,
I think you're thinking of Andrew Luck.
And I think there was the rumor that Manning also had gone to Europe for stem cell. But either way, you go out of the country for stem cell, and, we talked to Ralph Reif about this as well. While it is very effective, it also means that you are, you're going above and beyond what is immediately accessible to you here, meaning there's concern is what I'm getting at. And so that therefore you wonder how many times, mentally speaking, a guy goes back to the well of, I want to go through all this again. That is a legitimate and understandable question. Another question about who may not be there on Sunday. Who may not be there on Sunday and who may be there in their place. I will ask exactly that and elaborate with Eddie next.
Jake Query here. Each weekday noon to 3, guests appear live on the Java House Peel and Pour guest line. Use code JAKE25 at javahouse.com to save 25% on your first order.
Don't miss your chance to get in on the action of Butler women's basketball. Your next chance to get to Hinkle Fieldhouse is on Sunday, December 28th, when the Butler women's basketball team hosts number 1 UConn at 4 p.m. Come see the sunlight shine through the windows at iconic Hinkle when Butler women's basketball plays in front of a great crowd against the Huskies. Tickets are on sale now at butlersports.com/buy tickets. Be a part of Hinkle Magic and make Hinkle your second home this season.
Hey, Mr. C, it's me. Well, I just picked up the ring. I actually went to Hellsberg. Thanks for that recommendation. Kate's gonna love that hers is from the same jeweler you got Mrs. C's ring from. They were so helpful throughout the whole process. They even knew your family by name, and the ring looks great. Anyways, I just couldn't wait to let you guys know. Call me back and wish me luck.
Hellsberg, designed with care and craft since 1915. Shop in store or at hellsberg.com.
If you're one of the millions of Americans behind on your taxes, if you're afraid to open your mail because IRS collection letters could be coming, listen carefully. The IRS is cracking down, taking paychecks, freezing bank accounts, revoking passports. That's a fact. But here's what most people don't know. There are official tax relief programs designed to help struggling taxpayers. Programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief. Optima's award-winning team will fight to protect your paycheck, your passport, and your property. Their tax attorneys and licensed tax professionals will work tirelessly to get you the best deal possible with the IRS. Every day, penalties and interest keep piling up, so don't wait. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Lose weight or stop smoking with hypnosis, guaranteed, or your money back. No matter how many times you've failed in the past, this hypnosis is guaranteed to work.
After this hypnosis, I want to eat good food.
Since August, I can honestly say I have not had one potato chip.
It was life-changing for me.
And I don't think about desserts like I used to.
Bridget, how much have you lost now?
I've lost a total of 83 pounds.
Holy cow.
It's easy, it's fun, very relaxing, and very successful.
And I would just say go for it.
What are you waiting for? Lose the weight or stop smoking guaranteed. Only $59.99. Hypnosis to destroy unwanted cravings, late night eating binges, boredom eating, stress eating. Hypnosis Thursday, January 29th at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites in Noblesville. Weight loss hypnosis 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking hypnosis at 8 p.m. Or Saturday, January 31st at the Holiday Inn Indianapolis Airport. Weight loss hypnosis 11 a.m. Stop smoking hypnosis 2 p.m. Registration 30 minutes before. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com.
Hi, this is
Lloyd,
Jessica,
Robert, and Adam
from Kirby Heating and Air Conditioning in Pittsboro. The Kirby family wishes you the merriest of Christmases and happiest of New Year's. Thanks for your business. We really appreciate it. If you live in Hendricks or surrounding counties and need us, we are always here to help. Kirby services any model, and we proudly install American Standard products. Call us at 317-892-3614.
Kirby is your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Happy holidays from Kirby Heating and Air Conditioning.
Monday on the Fan Morning Show, are the Colts playoff hopes still alive? IU gets set for Alabama in the college football playoff, and then Rick Carlisle get his 1,000th win. All that more at 7 a.m. Tune in.
Query and Company on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
So DeForest Buckner, probably a bad way of saying it, but in terms of I get up again, will he do so? One of the better Colts defensive players. Is he one of them that's on? He's on the outside of Lucas Oil Stadium, right?
I don't know. I know
Nelson,
Kenny Moore, Jonathan Taylor, Quentin Nelson,
and Buckner, right?
Is it Zaire Franklin? Is he the fourth? I can't remember the fourth.
Somebody let me know. Shoot me a text, 317-523-9288. Heck, if you're listening today while you're out and about, and if you are, thank you, because I know a lot of people are off today. 317-523-9288. Let me know, A, if you're listening, and B, if Buckner is on the outside of Lucas Oil Stadium. And then if we don't get any text in the next 5 minutes, then we can head home. Right?
Okay. Class dismissed.
Speaking of that, allow me to ask you this. How many people do you think if, and I said earlier, yeah, things can look differently than you thought and expect and whatever else, but there's still, there's an NFL game taking place. The weather's going to be good. We're going to be doing a tailgate at Slippery Noodle. I mean, there's a lot to be excited about with it, even if the year is, quote unquote, kind of flushed or by the wayside. But having said all of that, how many do you think won't be there on Sunday at Lucas Oil Stadium? Are there people that are going to, and I'm talking about if Houston goes in tomorrow and they beat the Chargers in LA and the Colts are bounced, if there is no playoff possibility or implication on that game, what's the crowd going to look like on Sunday?
How many kids got tickets as a Christmas gift?
Boy, that's a great call there.
It's not, no offense to Jacksonville, it's not like they've got a ton of fans that should be swarming downtown Indianapolis.
Does Jacksonville have fans? Honestly. I mean, it is the most, when Jacksonville got, and I kind of like it. I think it's cool. I mean, when the NFL awarded an expansion franchise to Jacksonville, and, everybody was super excited about Jacksonville and Carolina those first years. Well, it was absolutely designed and set up for them to be successful in the expansion draft. The same was true of the Las Vegas Knights in hockey. But Jacksonville, I think the NFL anticipated that it was going to be like the next big booming metropolis area.
It is DeForest Buckner, by the way.
It is? Okay.
Yeah.
So it's DeForest Buckner, Jonathan Taylor, Kenny Moore, and Quentin Nelson. Is that right?
Yes.
But Jacksonville in general, so the NFL put a team there, then they had the Super Bowl there. It is by square mileage the largest area, the largest city in the United States by land size. but it's just this spread out multi-beach area and military town that's cool, but no one's really from there. You know what I mean? Like, you don't meet anybody that's like, yeah, I'm from Jacksonville. I lived there because I was in the military, or my company moved down there for a while, or in JP's case, I went to Alabama and then I got a job there, that kind of thing. Do you ever meet Jaguars fans? And I think this is the curse of the teal. Is it not? When you come into and you get a new team and you base your color scheme on what is hot at the moment and not traditionally hot, you're in trouble. The Pistons went to those maroon and teal terrible uniforms for a while. It was awful. The Nuggets went to like a maroon dealio for a while there in the mid-'90s. It was awful. The Raptors tried to do purple and silver and name their team after Jurassic Park. I mean, come on. What other teams, Eddie, use teal in their as like a primary color? Who am I? The Marlins tried to do it for a while.
Charlotte?
I mean, Charlotte's tried everything, right? What do I say? Give me the teams who are the most historic amongst football, baseball, and basketball in the three major sports. Give me off the top of your head, Eddie Garrison, the 5 most historically great franchises. Franchises that have the combination of history, competitiveness, dedication, and fan base.
Well, you're looking at probably for sure the New York Yankees.
Okay.
In the NFL, the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay.
In the NBA, the Boston Celtics.
Okay.
And the Los Angeles Lakers.
Okay.
That fifth one, is there anybody in the NHL that stands out?
I mean, Montreal Canadiens.
Maybe.
Green Bay Packers.
Yeah.
We got I guess if you're talking about
the Boston Red Sox.
Okay, the Red Sox, that's a good one. If you're talking about history,
the Dodgers. Oh my gosh, how did I forget the Dodgers?
Okay. And then if you're talking about fan base and tradition laden, the Cubs would have to be up there, right?
That would be correct, yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you this. New York Yankees, Dallas Cowboys, Boston Celtics, Los Angeles Lakers, Green Bay Packers, Boston Red Sox, Los Angeles Dodgers, and Chicago Cubs. Among those, how many uniform and color scheme changes have they had combined in the last 30 years?
Not a lot.
You know why? Because teams that are naturally professional and competitive don't need gimmick. They don't need gimmick. They don't need to change. Who changes what teams are most known for changing their uniforms like annually and their color schemes and their marketing?
Well, teams that are trying to generate, buzz and excitement.
The Charlotte Hornets, right? The Sacramento Kings. The Jacksonville Jaguars.
For a while, the Seattle Seahawks, they were changing left and right. The Rams were the same way.
The Rams, though, at least the Rams kept going back to when the Rams would come up with new uniforms, they were going back to their old ones.
Yeah.
At least. They were going back to their history.
Arizona, the Cardinals just recently changed their uniforms, as did the Atlanta Falcons.
Arizona, they're like, yeah, we went to a Super Bowl. Like, we got red hot with Kurt Warner one year. Okay, cool. We had Neil Lomax. People got excited. That was in St. Louis. Now, Washington has got some history, though. But, again, Washington's a little different because it was by necessity, right? In terms of the change of the name and that kind of thing. But you get my point. And
the Utah Jazz are in this category.
Okay. Yes. And the funny thing about the Jazz, they're the interloper to this conversation because the one time that they went with the weird, like, we're going to go with the color trend of purple and silver and green, that was the best era they ever had. I mean, I think the Jazz best uniforms are the green and gold with the music note of yesteryear. The early John Stockton years and Mark Eaton and that group, like, those uniforms were awesome. And then they incorporated the purple. Then they went to the mountaintop with the silver and all that, and with Malone, and that's when they were probably at their best, truth be told. But either way, the Jaguars, to me, when it comes to the attendance on Sunday, you would think that this would be, if Houston were to win tomorrow and the Colts are going into it eliminated, this would be a game that feels like the Colts are going to have potentially a game on Saturday that looks exactly like what the Pacers are doing all year. We're just going to kind of mask guys going out there and put out roster and tinker around. But is there a method to the madness on the Pacers side of things? And for the Colts, would it be if, in fact, and again, I laid out earlier, I think still playing Phillip Rivers might be in your best interest. If Anthony Richardson's not healthy, which I don't think he's going to be, it might be in your best interest to finish it out with Phillip Rivers playing to see if he is a guy that you need to carry you over for a few games next year. Because you could say Anthony Richardson. Well, Jake, you have Anthony Richardson. He's going to be healthy. He's going to be on the roster. I understand. But if you've got Richardson starting.
Are we even sure that he will be on the roster?
Well, that's I'm saying very hypothetically here, right? But if Richardson's there and you go that route and you know that Daniel Jones is not going to be ready to take over full throttle until, say, mid-September. This is if we're re-signing Daniel Jones now, right? We, meaning the Colts. If Daniel Jones is the guy that ultimately you're going to hand the keys to, but he needs a couple of weeks, it's going to be a much smoother and intentional and predisposed transition under Phillip Rivers than if you had Richardson there. If Richardson is the guy as the backup for it, and everybody knows he's just keeping the seat warm, and he wins 3 games, then it becomes pretty, kind of sticky in terms of that transition. That can be, I don't know. And so there are a lot of curveballs that come into that. But when I was wondering how many people were going to be there on Sunday, then it factors in the aspect of, well, gee, are there really Jaguars fans that are going to come up? You know what I mean? Are there really Jaguar fans that are like, let's do it, let's take advantage? We are playing for seeding at this point and getting ready for the March. Do they have a fan? Maybe they do. This from Chiefs fan Steve. Jake, I'm listening, keeping Indiana gassy, driving around the gas truck, filling up the petrol.
What?
He's keeping Indiana gassy.
Oh.
He's part of that scam I've told you about, where they have that truck and they claim that there's the premium, the unleaded, and then the less than unleaded or whatever, but it all comes in the same truck.
The E85?
Yeah, and again, they claim that the truck just has these big cardboard dividers in there, but I don't buy it. I think it's all. Yeah, they got dividers that they put in there in the truck. I think it's. You ever see the guy pulls up and it comes out of one line?
Yeah, I know.
Yep. Allegedly going into 3 different tanks. Yeah, okay.
Are we even sure there's anything in those tanks?
But I love Steve. Steve, Brenda, and their awesome dog, Milton, the very best. Brenda and Steve represent the best of us. The absolute best of us. All right, Indiana, Alabama, getting set, Rose Bowl. We're going to go down to Alabama, and we're going to talk to one of the primary coverers of the Crimson Tide and find out what Kurt Cignetti and his group will be facing coming up in Pasadena. We'll do that conversation next.
The Ride with JMV.
Final score tonight, the San Francisco 49ers 48 and the Indianapolis Colts 27.
I know again that you've been injured, but you're playing against a team that doesn't want to hear anything about excuses because they're missing everybody. And the coaching staff clowned the Colts. And what it did, it just magnified how this hasn't worked and it's not gonna.
The Ride with JMV.
Weekdays 3 to 6
on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Hey, there's Jake Query with a question for you. What are your dinner plans? Or do you even have a plan? I want you to be a hero tonight. Be a winner. Be a champion as a dinner provider. Get the Chicago's $25 medium pizza special tonight. 2 medium one-topping pizzas and an order of fresh hot breadsticks, all for just $25. You can pick up, delivery, dine in, DoorDash, whatever it might be. Be a winner at dinner with the $25 medium pizza family meal deal. This is not cheap, average, fast chain pizza. This is pizza with crust, handmade every day and topped generously with fresh ingredients made by local owner-operators who obsess over every slice. Add a salad, pasta, or sandwich to make any picky eater happy. Order online at chicagospizza.com. Click on your closest location and order the $25 medium pizza family meal deal. 25 is the special number, $25 medium pizza family meal deal, and 25 Indiana locations, 18 of them in Central Indiana. Make the entire family happy tonight. Even better, make yourself happy tonight with Chicago's Pizza. Chicago's Pizza, where there's a story told in every slice.
Continue the excitement of the holidays and unwrap a night of family fun with the blue and gold.
Pacers running with Shepard into the lane, up and under with the left hand, no, but trailing the play, crashing down the middle of the lane and laying it in is Isaiah Jackson.
Friday night, enjoy a great evening of basketball when the Pacers collide with the Celtics.
Neymar drives to his right, gets to the wing, bounce pass off the pick and roll, where Siakam picks it up and drives in for two.
Get your tickets at Pacers.com/tickets. Pacers Celtics, Friday at 7.
If you or someone you know needs help putting food on the table, that help is closer than you think. The Fan cares. We've partnered with local food banks and organizations to provide resources for those who need them. Just go to 1075thefan.com and look for the banner that says Find Free Food near you. You'll find a link to Community Compass with an up-to-date and interactive map that shows locations, days, and times for you to collect food at no cost, as well as other resources to help you through this challenging time. Find community help now at 1075thefan.com. JMV here, and guys, you've heard of TRT, but you have no idea what testosterone can do for you. Once you start treatment, you'll wish you had done it sooner. Now you can take the TRT test for free at Center Gen X and Low T Center. Walk in before 10 a.m. or book ahead at fixmylowt.com. The place for guys to go is Center Gen X and Low T Center for TRT. The TRT test is free, not hundreds of dollars. The testosterone is pure, not compounded. Guys feel full of energy, not like they're still waiting for it to kick in. Get in now for your free TRT test. No appointment necessary before 10 a.m. or book ahead at fixmylowt.com. Guys, you're going to wish you had started TRT sooner. Don't you just want to know your level? Find out with the free TRT test at Center Gen X and Low T Center. Walk in before 10 a.m. or book ahead at fixmylowt.com. That's fixmylowt.com. Center Gen X and Low T Center. Get that free T test today. FixMyLowT.com.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code HEAT to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code HEAT for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code HEAT for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
From the DriveHubler.com studios, this is 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
WIBC HD2, HD3, Indianapolis.
Hey, it's JMV. Later on this afternoon at 3, Colts, Jaguars, Pacer conversation, college hoops, and a lot more. Post-Christmas celebration begins at 3. Don't miss it.
2, 3. Query and Company on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Now, Eddie, here's the thing. Indiana and Alabama getting set to tussle in the Rose Bowl coming up on New Year's Day. And in terms of what Indiana's going to see, J.P. Shadrick is just talking to us about that. But I actually feel like we should almost do like a make good here. Can you look up for me, and you let me know when we have it, Eddie, the song that I just told you, the alternate song to go with for the introduction here, okay? And the reason why is because Nick Kelly covers Alabama. He's the beat writer for AL.com, which is the main Alabama news site, okay? Now, this guy went to Missouri, one of the great journalism schools, right? This guy has won multiple awards. He's the sports writer of the year from 2 years ago in the state of Alabama. He's part of the Football Writers Association. He covered the Crimson Tide while he was in Tuscaloosa. He won a Rising Star Award. This guy is like quite frankly, the Curt Cignetti of writers. And so I thought it'd be fun. And every time this guy does a hit on radio across the country, that's what he hears is Sweet Home Alabama. So if we played this as an intro for him, for example, okay, you don't have the song I told you there?
Well, I was dialing up Nick when you were talking to me, Jake. I can't listen to two things at once.
Okay. So there's a song from The Doors called the Alabama Song. And I thought, we should be different than the other radio hits that this guy does because he's an investigative reporter. He's won awards. That's because he goes beyond the pale and the up of the obvious, right? So I thought bringing him into something other than Sweet Home Alabama would be the professional thing to do and really impress him. Yeah, there we go. See? Now, I'd like to know, joining us now on the Java House Peel and Pork guest line, he is not on his way to the next whiskey bar, but rather to Pasadena. Nick Kelly joining us. Nick, I'll bet every time you do a radio hit somewhere, they play Lynyrd Skynyrd's Sweet Home Alabama, right?
It definitely is a common one, no doubt. I mean, you can't go many places in this state without hearing it, especially around Bryant-Denny Stadium on game days.
So are you impressed by the fact we played the Alabama song by The Doors instead of Sweet Home Alabama?
See, I like creativity, so I like when I'm presented with that. So I respect that, appreciate it, and well done, gold stars all around.
There we go. That's what. Okay. Well, thanks for joining us, Nick. Happy holidays to you. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, let's get to this. This matchup is fascinating because you have, Kalen DeBoer, who obviously at one time was on staff at Indiana. You've got Curt Cignetti, who was at one time on staff at Alabama. How much is that from the Cignetti factor? I am curious. What is the Alabama fan or, media perception of Curt Cignetti and recollection or feeling of connection to him to Alabama?
Yeah, I think there's definitely some. I think that it's fascinating where I think some people forget just how, significant that he was or how long he was here for. I think people forget that because it was a while ago. But, he was here for 4 seasons, right? It's from 2007 to 2010. So he was an integral part of really getting this thing off the ground for the Saban dynasty. And then not only getting off the ground, but winning. And a fascinating dynamic, too, was so he was the guy on the sideline that was essentially the conduit for the OC in the press box and the guys on the field. So you'd have when it was Jim McElwain, when he was there for a couple of seasons, he was communicating with Cignetti, who was on the sideline. And then Cignetti would be the one communicating signals. He'd be the one talking to players, getting them coached up. He'd be the one that if Nick Saban was upset about something with the offense, if he wanted to talk to someone on the sideline, he'd be the guy for that. So he really had a big role, and he had a big role in recruiting guys like Mark Ingram and just, coaching up guys like Julio Jones. So I think people, obviously, when they think of the early days, they think of Nick Saban, they think of the coordinators, but really Curt Cignetti was an integral part of that staff. And I think that folks here are proud of what he's done since he was here.
This is going to sound weird to ask it this way because it's one would assume, but Alabama's different. It's just different than other places. Did DeBoer cement himself by getting that win against Oklahoma, or was that not even necessary and needed? How stable is he as the head coach at Alabama?
I think it was a massive win. And to your point, I do think that it went a long way toward, okay, this guy's legitimate. This guy can do some big things here because he'd won some big games in the regular season, but in Alabama, fair or not, the expectation is championships. So when you're doing some great things in the regular season, that's one thing. But when you're winning big games on the road, that was a tough game to win. When you're down 17 to a good defensive team like that at Oklahoma at their place, I think most of us, if we're being honest, wrote off Alabama. Kalen DeBoer kept his guys steady, and he got them to a place where they could go win that game, and not just win it, but they were quite dominant in the second half of that game. So, yeah, I think that really earned him some of the people who are still doubting him, earned that respect for him, got them more on board, and I think that no matter what happens from here on out, I think it's a launching point for year 3 of Kalen DeBoer.
Okay, Kalen DeBoer at night. He is staring at the ceiling, and he is worried about what aspect of his football team that still has not been as consistent as he'd like.
That's a good question. I would say the running game. And that's kind of the easy answer because it hasn't really been there. And even as I give you that answer, I'm still kind of like, well, it hasn't been there all year. So I don't think they're at a point where they're expecting it to be great. But I think that them getting that running game to a respectable or just serviceable point is something that they need to, I don't want to say be stressed about, but definitely be focusing on because at this point, no, the running game is not going to win them the game against Indiana or anyone. But they need some effective running to happen just to keep defenses honest against the pass. But no doubt they're going to win the game in their passing game. But I guess the other answer I could give you is the offensive line for them because it has been inconsistent, hasn't always been there. They had a pretty good game against Oklahoma as the game went on. They had some good plays and they played well. But I think that if I'm going to give you maybe a more nuanced answer, I'll give you offensive line.
When you look at this matchup, okay, and Alabama's Alabama, right? And I'm not going to lie to you, Nick, even in Indiana, to me, it still seems almost surreal. And that's so unfair because they have not one but two of the best wins in the season, does Indiana. Indiana has the best resume. Indiana has literally not made mistakes, and when they have, they've been able to immediately overcome them, okay? What is the perception? What is the vibe you feel from within Alabama about Indiana and this team?
Yeah, that's interesting because I think last season it was, who they played or who they really beaten, right? So I think that there was some people who were maybe not buying into the Indiana hype. I think just when you talk to people around here, there are definitely more people who realize this team's legit now this year. I mean, this is a real contender, and obviously they're the number one seed, but they have good wins too. I will say, though, just because I think it takes so much time to get people to change their opinions of just a brand when they're so far away from it, is I do think there are still some people here who doubt whether Indiana, how legitimate their success is. And I'm not one of those people, to be clear. I really do think this is a great Indiana team, and I'm a believer in Curt Cignetti. But I do think that some people are still slow to the idea of Indiana being a dominant power in college football. And I think that's especially the case when you're as far removed as some people are here in the South. And I just think in general that most people in the South are going to tell you that SEC football, in their minds, is better than Big Ten football. So I think that you have to fight that bias as well. So I think that a lot of people are thinking that, they're maybe not giving Indiana the credit they deserve. But I'm not one of those people, just for the record.
Nick, it's funny. Nick Kelly's my guest, by the way, AL.com. He is the beat writer for the University of Alabama football program. And it's funny, Nick, because when the whole NIL thing happened, the thought was, and especially for people that are fans of Indiana, right, who'd been just a doormat, oh, this is just going to make the rich get richer. Ohio State, Alabama, and Clemson are just going to dominate college football now because everything's just going to funnel towards that. And yet, it is Indiana. It is Texas Tech and their oil money. It is, Arizona State a year ago, whatever it might be. It's those programs that really have been able to utilize this to lift themselves. Do you think this is sustainable for Indiana or for whatever program? Or are we going to see a carousel of teams have a 3-year window and then boom, somebody else becomes the hot big thing because you can't keep dipping into the same financial well, et cetera?
Yeah, I don't mean to give you a fence-straddling answer here, but I think it's kind of we'll see. I do think it depends on what you define as sustainable. Does it mean that you are going to have the same success every year? Probably not, because there's just so much parity now. Like the parity that is going on in college football is fun. I mean, I think it really is fun if you're just a fan of the sport because you're seeing everyone's got more of a chance than ever before. I think that maybe the best way to have this discussion too is look at Vanderbilt. No, they're not in the playoff, but they were darn near in the playoff, and they just had an amazing season. And a guy who finished as the runner-up, right, to Fernando Mendoza in the Heisman at quarterback. So, I think a lot of fans here, set aside the Midwest or the SEC, discussion or the Big Ten and all that stuff, like a lot of the people here are still wrapping their heads around the fact that Vanderbilt's a legitimate team now. But what happens when Diego Pavia is not there? What do they look like then? So I think that it's kind of wait and see mode. But I do think that if you have a good system in place, and if you have a coach who knows how to build a program like Indiana does and Curt Cignetti, and like Vanderbilt has in Clark Lee, I mean, I think that is sustainable. That doesn't mean you're going to go 13-0, and get a first-round bye in the playoff every year. I don't know about that. But I think they're always going to be competitive. And in this era of college football, that's all you can ask for.
All I know about this is without Diego Pavia at Vanderbilt, fewer techno parties, right? Don't we know that? Isn't that a given?
Well, it's probably going to be less of a villainous kind of Vanderbilt.
No doubt, right? Heck of a player, no doubt about
Diego's
that.
Done.
Heck of a player.
No, Diego's great. Like, he made my Heisman ballot, but he definitely – you get some opinions about Diego Pavia, no doubt.
What is it about Alabama? Nick Kelly, my guest on the Java House Peel and Pour guest line. What about Alabama, Nick, when they have had their games where they just, I'll say flat, for lack of a better term, you see them much more closely than do I, right? But you talk about branding. I still think of Alabama in that Nick Saban, the Bryce Young era, just like running back after running back, that era of whole different level football. They didn't have off games seemingly then. What is it about this particular group when they do have the games that are off? Other teams are doing what to get them off rhythm?
I would say pressuring Ty Simpson. I think that's the biggest thing, that if a team wants to succeed, it's much harder for him to run the offense and be the very cerebral, precise quarterback he can be when he's under pressure. So that's if I'm Indiana, you find ways to do that. Now, he can still make you pay. It's not that he just, you pressure him and he's done. It's just, I think that's the way to succeed. And I think that's especially the case when you factor in the offensive line is inconsistent. But also, like, a lot of times when the offense hasn't worked, it's been a case of the receivers dropping passes, the just running backs not making plays, not reading the holes well. But I think you can't control those things if you're a defense as much as you can just bringing pressure.
Nick, this Ty Simpson, who, at the beginning of the year, I think a lot of people had him right there in the forefront for the Heisman. Obviously, that goes now to Indiana with Fernando Mendoza. But give me kind of a scouting report on him in terms of areas that make him uncomfortable or areas where you can exploit him a little bit.
That's a good question. I would say that he's at his best when he's sitting back and he can just kind of see the field. I mean, he's really smart. Like, he really is. And he's the son of a coach. His dad, Jason Simpson, is the coach of University of Tennessee at Martin. That is an FCS program that he's had a ton of success there. So he grew up basically learning in a college football program. So Ty's very smart, and he processes things well, and he sees things well. So the intermediate routes he's actually very good at, and the short stuff he's pretty good at as well. But again, when he's pressured and he can't see the field as well, or he has guys in his face, like Oklahoma in the first game, when he turned the ball over a few times, it was because of pressure. He threw his pick six because a guy was a free rusher coming at him. So sometimes, when teams get pressure and they get in his face, that obviously makes it difficult. I think it makes it difficult for most folks, but he definitely isn't as sharp then. And there are times where he might, I don't know, if you bring an exotic look or have some kind of pressure that the offensive line can't pick up and there's a free rusher, sometimes he's not as good at seeing that and realizing he has to get rid of the ball quick. So that sometimes is an area that isn't as strong. The deep ball has been inconsistent too, but he did make some plays in that playoff game where he hit guys on deep passes. So, to me, the biggest strength that Ty has is he sees the field really well. It's hard to bait him into things. Like, he's just very smart. But he also he can make most of the throws. He can find guys in the intermediate routes. So I think that was one thing that he's really brought to this offense this year, is that he can find guys in tight windows.
Defensively, you would anticipate that Alabama tries to do what against Indiana, and where is an area they can kind of flex their will, if you will?
Oh, gosh. Well, Indiana's going to bring a lot of problems. So I think that's I don't know what Kane Womack, the defensive coordinator's plan is going to be, but good luck to him is kind of my thought. To me, you have to somehow get to Fernando Mendoza because in a similar deal, and I don't mean to keep giving you the same answer, but correct me if I'm wrong, but just to me, Fernando Mendoza, if he gets to sit back there and just pass at will and just be comfortable, he's going to pick this defense apart. So you have to somehow get pressure on him, give him just too much in his face at times to where he's going to have to get the ball out. And so I think that's maybe their only path to me. I mean, just because they have so many different ways that they can beat you on offense for Indiana. So the guys up front in that front seven are going to be really important for Alabama. But one thing I will say, this Alabama defense has been strength in the second half of the season. It didn't look like it in the first quarter and a half against Oklahoma, and they may have some struggles at first, but this Alabama defense is really good at making adjustments, and it has been a strength for this group and has been much more consistent in the offense in the second half of the year.
I find Birmingham to be one of, if not the most underrated cities in the United States, in particular the east side of Birmingham as you head towards Leeds in terms of like all local restaurants, very cool vibe, feels like a J. Crew catalog, Mountain Brook, beautiful area. Your thoughts?
Oh, it's great. I live in Birmingham, and so I'm actually from Minnesota, so I'm a Midwest Big Ten person at heart. So I've lived down here about 5 years now, but the food scene in Birmingham is underrated. It's very good. I've lived here several years now, and I still haven't made my way to all the good food spots. So yeah, if people are ever in Birmingham, check out the food. It's really good.
I'm telling you, it's a cool city for sure. Now, what part of Minneapolis or Minnesota? Did you grow up in Minneapolis?
I did. I grew up in a suburb of Minneapolis.
So you're the first poster on your wall when you were a kid. Are you too young for Kirby Puckett, or was it Kevin Garnett?
I'm too young for Kirby Puckett.
Randy Moss.
But yeah, he was a big one. I think his rookie season was the year I was born, I believe. So
okay, fair enough. Adrian Peterson.
Yeah, I mean, he was in his prime when I was coming up in school, so he was definitely doing well. I didn't actually grow up a Vikings fan, though. My dad's family's from Western Pennsylvania, so I picked Dad's team over Mom's team.
All right, fair enough. So your first poster on the wall was what, Ben Roethlisberger?
Troy Polamalu. He was my favorite player growing up.
Fair enough. And listen, unpopular to say here, Nick, but it was an interception against Peyton Manning in the playoffs, but they overturned it. But nonetheless. All right, Nick, I appreciate the time, man. We may try to grab you again, maybe either just before or just after. I know you're going to be busy, but certainly Merry Christmas to you and appreciate the time and the insights about Alabama today.
Yeah, great chatting with you. Merry Christmas and have a good rest of your weekend.
Appreciate it. Nick Kelly joining us from AL.com. I'm telling you, Birmingham's cool. Now, I did feel a little bit old there when he said that the year he was born was when Randy Moss was a rookie. Randy Moss's rookie year, that Thanksgiving night game he had against Dallas, he was unbelievable. That was kind of his coming out. I mean, everybody knew about him because of the Florida State, Notre Dame, and then Marshall stuff. But he was literally, freak, right? I mean, a freak athlete and all of it. I just saw that Randy Moss, by the way, rang the bell, meaning that he is complete with his cancer treatments, which is good news, certainly. Eddie, first sports poster on your wall when you were a kid was who?
I can't even remember.
I'm going to go, this guy's going to be, you're too young for this. Barry Larkin, that was before you, right?
Yeah, I didn't really have posters. I was never a big poster kid/guy.
Did you collect baseball cards?
Not really. I didn't collect cards either.
Jerseys?
No.
Did you follow sports?
I did.
Your favorite athlete when you were, let me guess, when you were 8? Sean Casey?
No.
Joey Votto?
No.
Am I on the right team?
Yeah, for sure. You're on the right teams. Yeah, the Reds.
All right, hit me with it.
Edwin Encarnacion.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, the name alone was cool, right?
Yeah.
And the you never knew when there was going to be, like some big home run hit. But
I also loved Brandon Phillips. That was another one.
Yeah, I forgot about Brandon Phillips.
Yeah.
That kind of goes.
He's
without
my
saying.
all-time favorite Red.
Brandon Phillips he was kind of the Kenny Moore of the Reds, right?
Yeah.
Like the guy that, was kind of the plucky guy that you didn't think much of it when he was acquired, and then as time went on, you're like, man, this guy's really a good player.
Yeah, and he always had, flashy plays.
He was definitely flashy.
Oh, yeah.
No question.
He's going into the Reds Hall of Fame this year.
Did you say we did get a hold of Casey?
Yes.
What time is that going to take place?
8 minutes.
Casey Vallier, who is he's the director of radio coordination and broadcast intra-band media relation for the Colts, right?
Yeah, something like that.
He's the Grand Poobah. Is that right?
Well, I think Matt is the Grand Poobah.
I don't know, though. Casey's the one coordinating.
Yeah, that's true.
Matt just goes where Casey tells him to go. Casey coordinates all the radios over there. Turns them all, gets them all on the right dial, right station, the whole deal, right? Speaking of that, by the way, Colts Happy Hour coming up today at 5:30. John will be in with us, but coming up for the crossover at 3 o'clock, we'll find out what he's got lined up on his program. He's been in here for a while today. I noticed him earlier in the building. Sunday, 1 o'clock, it is the Colts Jags. The pregame getting underway at 10 o'clock in the morning, and the ride to kickoff at 9 a.m. So a full day of Colts stuff to talk about coming up on Sunday. Big news today in terms of who is in and who is out. DeForest Buckner, that's the big story, and we're going to get into that with Casey. Shane Steichen announcing today that DeForest Buckner had a setback with his neck, and as a result, he will not play for the remainder of the season for the Colts. Also, the injury report from today. Those that Tanner Bortolini is not practicing, correct, Eddie?
He is out with that concussion.
Drew Ogletree did not practice today, correct?
He is out with a neck injury.
Anthony Gould?
Dealing with a foot issue. He is out for Sunday.
And JT?
Tuimoloau.
Tuimoloau.
Oblique injury, out.
JT Tuimoloau.
Tuimoloau, yeah.
Tuimoloau. It's funny that I can do auto racing play-by-play without blinking with some of the names that I've had to do over the years with that and never trip it up. But when I know going into it that I've got somebody, it trips me up.
Yeah.
All right, DeForest Buckner, out. What's it mean? Casey Vallier joins us. We'll discuss next.
Get ready for heel-tapping fun as you discover the new $2 Wizard of Oz scratch-off from the Hoosier Lottery. With 4 unique scenes and prizes up to $10,000, the Emerald City awaits. From the Hoosier Lottery, champions of play. Play responsibly.
From military life to a rewarding career in IT, kickstart your new journey in a matter of months in the fields of IT and cybersecurity, including AI. Learn more at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP.
Financial aid is available for qualified students, including VA benefits. Dan owed an unbelievable amount of money to the IRS.
I got behind on my taxes. It's a horrible feeling.
He was in denial.
And when I got those letters from the IRS, you wanted to act like they didn't exist.
Finally, Dan turned to Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima got me a settlement with the IRS. These people are really people-friendly. It was every bit of a new lease on life for me.
The fast action and the great results made Dan's head spin.
I felt like I was in a dream, but it's real, and I have paperwork to prove it. They got the job done, and life is good.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation.
If you're worried about what's going to happen with the IRS, stop worrying. Make the call now.
Call 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hi, I'm Lacey, your friend and jeweler at Shane Company. And yes, I'm actually a jeweler. I bring dream engagement rings to life every day in our jeweler's workshop. When I hand set your diamond into your ring, I think about creating a piece you'll wear for a lifetime. I pay attention to the smallest details and treat every ring with the same care and craftsmanship, no matter the size or price. Come check us out at your nearby store. Our engagement rings are made with love from our hands to yours, because a friend knows your love deserves the highest quality. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Hi, this is
Lloyd,
Jessica,
Robert, and Adam
from Kirby Heating and Air Conditioning in Pittsboro. The Kirby family wishes you the merriest of Christmases and happiest of New Year's. Thanks for your business. We really appreciate it. If you live in Hendricks or surrounding counties and need us, we are always here to help. Kirby services any model, and we proudly install American Standard products. Call us at 317-892-3614.
Kirby is your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Happy holidays from Kirby Heating and Air Conditioning.
Hey, JMV for the best in realty. Mark Dietel, Mark Dietel Realty, 317-755-4232. That's markdietel.com, markdietel.com today. So Troy in Connersville was in a real estate challenge. Wanted to sell his home over market value and buy a home near his favorite hunting area with land and no HOA close to town. Miraculously, the Mark Dietel team did it all. They found the perfect new home at a great price and sold his current home in 10 days for $10K over the list price. In fact, Mark Dietel is the only real estate expert I trust and recommend with the sale of my home. Mark Dietel guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. Pick your move date. There are no long-term contracts, and you can cancel at any time. It's Mark Dietel, Mark Dietel Realty, 317-755-4232. That's markdietel.com, markdietel.com.
Julia
today.
owed the IRS thousands.
I was paralyzed with fear.
Then
I heard a commercial for Optima Tax Relief.
Optima Tax Relief is the leading tax resolution firm. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau and experts in the Fresh Start Initiative.
Optima Tax Relief settled my IRS tax bill.
Call Optima now for a free consultation.
It was amazing.
Call 800-259-8642. 800-259-8642.
Optima Tax Relief.
Visit OptimaTaxRelief.com for details.
This time of year, it's about the snacking, and you want to do some elite-level snacking, right? Whether you're watching football, maybe it's a little bit of hoop, but seriously, on a cracker, a chip, a vegetable. How about a burger? The spreadability of Win Schuler's and their fantastic cheese spreads from original cheddar, sharp cheddar, bacon and cheddar, and jalapeno pepper. The spreadability of Win Schuler's, you can find it. Win Schuler's, Gordon's Food Service, and your favorite Meijer location across the state of Indiana.
This is the Fan Morning Show.
San Francisco 49ers 48 and the Indianapolis Colts 27.
The ease at which they operated stood out to me. It was ho-hum. Christian McCaffrey has not looked like that this season. I don't see any injuries in that front seven.
One play they actually did make, Latu with the strip sack. Of course, George Kittle catches the fumble, but that's not enough for an entire 60-minute game.
It's the Fan Morning Show. Weekday mornings on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
This is Query and Company on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
It's a Friday, bottom of the 2 o'clock hour. Over the course of the sports season, we bring you a Franciscan Health Feel Good, Good for the Heart Friday. A story of, we told you a couple of weeks ago about a volleyball player, one of the best high school players in the state, that found herself in a coma with an unexpected illness, fought her way back, got IU into the Sweet 16 this year in NCAA volleyball. We've told stories over the course of the year about those that are getting an opportunity through Special Olympics or other such form, and stories that make you feel good about the right side of sports or the right side of life. And we're going to continue doing so for next year. I am so happy that Franciscan Health gives me the platform each and every week to do that. You know, last night we went to a movie. I saw that Neil Diamond, it's not a Neil Diamond biopic, but a movie about a couple from Milwaukee based on a true story that overcame a lot as part of a Neil Diamond tribute band. And the character, no spoiler alert here, but one of the characters in the movie has heart issues. And I actually said to Shannon at one point, I go, this is really difficult for me to watch. And I've never felt that way. I don't know why last night, maybe because it was Christmas, it resonated with me so much. But I'm so thankful that Franciscan gives us the opportunity to share with people the fact that the #1 heart program in Indiana in cardiology by Health Grades, #1 in Indiana for interventional coronary care and major cardiac surgery is Franciscan Health. And they do the $49 heart scan, just $49. A $49 heart scan where you can pay out of pocket. You get a free heart health risk with that. It is non-invasive, so simple, and it is making a difference, folks. I'm telling you. This effort that we're doing for Franciscan and what Franciscan is doing for people in terms of people finding out that they need to get in that system for proper heart health. And that's That is the feel-good story right there. The fact that this year, this campaign has made a difference even just for one person. That is so important to me. And the fact that we're going to continue it for next year, and we're also going to next year focus at least once a month on a story as it relates to women's sports, because women and heart disease also, that is an area that is of increased concern, and we want to get that word out. And we're going to do that in 2026. I do have a pretty cool story I'll share in just a couple of minutes. But before I do so, Casey Vallier is the director of radio. I think he's the director of radio placement for the Colts. We'll find out his exact title in just a second. Going to join us, but pre- and post-game host, pre-game host, and in-game host, for the Colts radio network. Going to join us just a minute. Wanted to read this right now. Text message. Hey, Jake, DeForest Buckner being out needing neck surgery means what I've said all along. It was a bad trade. You don't trade the 13th pick in the draft for a D lineman when you needed a quarterback. A D lineman who will never play a playoff game at Lucas Oil Stadium. That from Paul Callahan. Paul Callahan pointed that out, and Buckner's been a fabulous player. He's been everything you would want as a teammate. He's been everything you want as a contributor, but the neck issue now, and Shane Steichen announcing earlier today that he will not return this season. Casey joins us now. Casey, before we get into the specifics, because I know that you're a man that wears many hats. Now, you don't wear any hats that are as big as Eddie's, but you wear many hats. Your actual title with the Colts, if you will, is what? I'm going to write this down so I get it right.
I am the coordinator of radio production.
Okay, coordinator of radio production. Now, the other thing is this. I've heard this, and I try to – Ed Sorensen taught me this. He said, buddy, and he had his arm around me, buddy, when you talk to somebody and you hear different ways their last name is pronounced, ask them how they introduce themselves at parties. So your last name, Casey, because I've heard it two different ways on the Colts radio broadcast, of which you are the coordinator of production. Your last name production when you introduce it at parties.
Vallier.
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 So not Vallier, Vallier.
Vallier. Now, I have gone by numerous different ways, and I am not picky about it because I know that we're all Hoosiers at heart, and we say things that are strange, and I have family down in southern Indiana who have never been able to say my name right. So I don't care how it is said, but I say it Vallier.
How do your family in southern Indiana, how do they say it?
Well, Vallier is a common. That's a common pronunciation.
Vallier, kid. Yeah,
Vallier, kid.
Okay. Let's begin with this in terms of the news today from Shane Steichen on DeForest Buckner. Did he elaborate, Shane Steichen, on when this setback may have taken place, and furthermore, what it might mean long term for DeForest Buckner?
So he didn't elaborate on when it's essentially, after the game, he was kind of going through, maybe the recap of how he played and talking with some of the docs. And that's when they were kind of, discovering. So I don't know if there was a, specific play or not, but maybe it was just, the culmination of after the game, the way he felt, it didn't feel right for him. And as far as long-term goes, there's really no, nothing has been said at that point right now. The anticipation is that he has surgery next week, or procedure done next week, and that ultimately he should be ready to go by the time the season starts next year. That was, it's very early in the stages of all that, so we don't have a whole bunch of, concrete information, but that is kind of the way they're approaching this as of right now, is that he'll have a procedure done next week, and then he should be ready to go for next year.
Casey, in terms of this Sunday, and I know it's a big if, and maybe it's a dangerous thing to talk in ifs, and you're an employee. I mean, I don't want to be in a bad spot here, but if we're discussing this as two fans, okay, or educated fans, if Houston is to win tomorrow, and that means going into the game that the Colts are aware that it is a game that has no playoff implication for them,
right?
Does Phillip Rivers still start?
Yes, so that has been discussed, this week, and mainly the reason is because, you do a game plan, you prepare, you practice all week with Phillip being the guy, and they don't think that would be, enough it would be a disservice to Riley Leonard if they were to tell him, because the game I think kicks off tomorrow at 4:30, so around 8 o'clock locally would be when that game is probably over tomorrow night. So to then all of a sudden kind of change what you've done all week, your game plan, to say Riley Leonard is going to start on Sunday, I think that's a disservice to Riley, and it would put him in a really tough, situation. So right now it sounds like regardless of win or loss with Houston, it will be Phillip Rivers on Sunday.
And then I guess we will, we'll wait another week to figure out after that. Let me here's what I said earlier, Casey, and I want you to tell me if you think I'm literally the only man in Indianapolis that feels this way, right? I mean, it might be me and my blood-stained volleyball that I'm talking to with this, okay, because I'm alone on an island. I have started to think more about this and thought about the fact, and to be fair to Anthony Richardson, I will say from a health standpoint, if Richardson, but when I really look at next year, I believe their best option at quarterback next year is going to be to re-sign on probably a 2-year deal Daniel Jones, partially because that's going to be less expensive than it was if Jones right now was continuing a Sam Darnold type renaissance that he was on his way towards. But if you bring back Daniel Jones next year, you're going to need potentially a cushion for him for the first couple of games until you can, just in case that Achilles is not ready to go. I would not rule out the possibility, because I saw Phillip Rivers saying after the game on the field how good he felt, how much he enjoyed it, that they bring him back for 1 year simply to start the car and keep it warm on the parade and pace lap before Daniel Jones then hops in it. I want you to tell me if I'm alone on an island with that thought moving forward.
I don't think you're alone. I think as of right now, I think everybody is taking this pretty day by day. But I think there is something to the fact that Phillip looked completely different last week than he did in that first week against Seattle. I know they said it's game plan specific and all of that, but I think everybody would agree that he looked a little bit more like the Phillip Rivers we had got accustomed to towards the end of his career. And if Phillip Rivers is on, if he's making statements about how well he feels, I don't know necessarily that you can completely rule that out. I do think that the idea of bringing Daniel Jones back prior to the the fractured fibula that was reported, and then you talk about the Achilles injury, I think, all around the building, that was kind of the thought, that Daniel Jones was looking like the guy that you would bring back. And I still think you would definitely entertain that because of everything that, you're going to be seeing. You don't have the first round picks. You can't, necessarily go get your quarterback in the draft that, is typically taken as a franchise guy. If you look at what the free agency pool is, I don't really know what it looks like, but I know it's not super robust as far as starting quarterbacks go. So Daniel Jones might ultimately be the best option because you've got familiarity with him. He's been in the building. You do want to see how that Achilles is going to, how long it's going to take for him to get back to at least a semblance of what the offense is going to look like with him there. But I don't know necessarily that you're all on an island by yourself with the Phillip Rivers thing, just because of, one, the relationship he has with Shane Steichen. He knows this offense because he essentially created this offense when he was with the Chargers. So all of that, the learning curve, it's completely out the window. You don't have to worry about any of that. Clearly, we're seeing that. I mean, last week, I don't know necessarily if he was making checks at the line of scrimmage, but he was sure active at the line of scrimmage, looking over the defense and putting guys into situations. So he has picked that up pretty quickly. So if the body says he feels right and it's kind of that stopgap before Daniel Jones is fully able to get back, I don't know necessarily that that's something you don't entertain.
Casey Vallier is my guest. Did I say Vallier? Did I say that correct? Now, is the L? Do I really hit the L? Is it more Vallier or Vallier?
Vallier. Yeah, you hit that yell and then you hit the yay.
Okay.
The yay.
Casey Vallier. Is that better?
There you go. So I'm used to telling, some of the voice guys over there at Urban One how to pronounce it, and you got to emphasize the yay. So honestly, I've never even thought about it the first way. It's Vallier. I don't mind that either. So
okay, what about this?
We're adding that to it.
How about Casey Vallier? Woo! How's that? That's the better version of the yay, right?
that would be the better version of the yay. I don't know if I like the better version of the yay there, Jake.
Okay, fair enough. When obviously Colts and Jags coming up on Sunday, it is the home finale. It is the penultimate game of the regular season for the Colts. We'll see if that extends beyond that. There's still mathematic possibility of the playoffs that are there. The offensive line, Casey, now we know Tanner Bortolini out. We obviously know that Braden Smith, there have been a number of injuries on the offensive line. I'm curious from your standpoint, as you do pregame stuff, that means that you've got to read off injury report for each and every game, including the opposition. We focus here in Indianapolis on the Colts. From what you can tell, the amount of attrition that, say, the Colts have within the depth or within the trenches and having to go into their depth, does that seem to be to you the norm when you talk about it from other franchises in the injury report list as you get a chance to look at it from other teams? Or is it of concern to Indianapolis more so than you see elsewhere?
Well, actually, I would say for the most part, outside of the last couple of weeks, the Colts have been relatively healthy on the offensive line, probably compared to other teams. Now, if you look at what Jacksonville is dealing with this week, they have 3 offensive linemen who didn't practice this week as well. So they're dealing with their own kind of thing. So I think especially on, both sides of the line, typically that's where you're going to see a lot more of those injuries, I think, because Jake, you've seen it. It's essentially a car crash every time you snap the football between these guys. They're going.
It's a collision sport, right? It's not a contact sport. It's a collision sport.
So when you think about it from those terms, I think ultimately, with Bernhard Raimann, him missing just one game with the elbow injury, we thought it could be worse. So it looks like him getting back, that is a positive sign. You mentioned Braden Smith, but outside of Braden Smith, Matt Gonzalez missed one game. Tanner Bortolini, this will be just his first game missed. So they really haven't had a whole bunch of injuries this year, which I think is actually different compared to the norm, because I think you're used to seeing 9 to 10 different offensive line starting combinations throughout a given year, and the Colts aren't at that number this year, which is different from years past.
Casey, we will be listening for, obviously, the pregame show as well. Colts-Jags coming up on Sunday. Colts happy hour getting underway Friday that's today, obviously,
that is today,
at 5:30. It feels like a Monday, but today at 5:30. And then Sunday, 1 o'clock kick, pregame 10 a.m., the road to kickoff getting underway at 9 o'clock, so all the coverage. Casey, appreciate it, all right?
Always, Jake. Thanks, man.
All right, Casey Vallier joining us here on the Java House Peel and Pour guest line. Real quick, I mentioned, thank you, Eddie. Since it is a feel-good, good for the heart Friday, even though we're towards the end of the year here, I did see a very cool story about the fact that this year is the 50-year celebration and anniversary, if you will, for Rob Parsons and Diane Parsons. And they live in Cardiff, United Kingdom. So, Jake, why 50 anniversary of what? 50-year anniversary of what? It was 50 years ago during the holiday season that they got a knock on the door. And Rob opened the door, and standing before him on the porch was a guy named Ronnie that he'd grown up with. And all he was ever told was that Ronnie was just, quote, a little bit off, a little bit different. Talked a little bit different, kind of a shy guy. And he said, "Hey, Ronnie, what's going on?" And Ronnie said, "Can I come in?" Okay. So they invited him in the house. And when they invited him in the house, Ronnie, in his kind of difficult way of expressing himself and communicating, because he was autistic even before we really knew what that diagnosis was, that's what the ailment that he was dealt with, or that he was dealt and was dealing with. And at any rate, what they learned is that Ronnie had found himself just through life in a situation where he had kind of been bounced from place to place. And here it was on the holidays, and the weather was not great. He was hungry, and he knew that Rob lived there and that they had gone to school together. So he knocked on the door and simply said, "Can I come in?" And he just recently passed away, did Ronnie. But Ronnie did so after having come into their house that day, and Rob and Diane never saw him leave, because they took him in as a member of their own family for 50 years. He was there when Rob found himself ill and they had young children and Diane needed help around the house. It was Ronnie that stepped in and was helping out and was delivering bottles and was helping with the laundry. And he wasn't able to always communicate verbally, but he communicated through the look in his eyes. And the one thing that he was able to communicate at one point was when they felt like maybe it was time that Ronnie, after having been there for years and helped out with their kids, maybe it was time for Ronnie to be off on his own. And when they went in to talk to him about it, he looked at him and simply said, "Did I do something wrong?" And they said, "No, you actually didn't." And that's why when we said, "Yes, you can come in," we're here to tell you that you can stay in, even though it had been 25 years at that point. And Ronnie lived with Rob and Diane for 50 years. And when he passed away, they realized that what they lost was a part of their family. And that's because at the time when it's most important, they opened their door simply to find who was on the porch, but then ended up opening up their home to somebody who just simply needed a place to come in and wanted to make sure that they hadn't done anything wrong. Now, I'm not asking you to let people into your house during the holiday season. I'm not saying that and have them live with you. But when you see somebody that might seem a little bit off, might seem a little bit different, think about the fact that you never know that that person might be wondering if they simply had done something wrong. And maybe it's time to simply tell them, "No, you didn't." And just do a simple, even the smallest gesture of kindness to let them know that, in fact, you didn't do anything wrong. You've been doing it right, and reward them for it. John is here. I just saw him walking around. We'll do the crossover. Brought to you by the good guys at Love Heating and Air. Love-HVAC.com is the website. 317-353-2141.
No matter where you're headed, it's nice to know Hubler's got you covered for 200,000 miles. Visit drivehubler.com or any of the 13 Hubler locations.
Xfinity is the network you can rely on. Like a close friend who will give it to you straight. The friend who will tell you that new haircut, it's not great. Friends make sure friends get good haircuts. And Xfinity makes sure you get a good deal on Wi-Fi. Xfinity gives you reliable fiber-powered Wi-Fi at our best price. This holiday season through January 4th, get gig speed Wi-Fi for just $50 a month for 5 whole years. No strings, no commitments. Just super fast, reliable gig speed Wi-Fi with our best equipment and unlimited data included. Save yourself from questionable decisions and save over Verizon and AT&T. Xfinity, imagine that. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. Xfinity Internet powered by fiber and connected to premises by coaxial cable. Actual speeds vary.
It's JMV for BullseyeEventGroup.com, the Colts VIP tailgate presented by Hayes & Sons Restoration. All you can eat, all you can drink. Before each Colts home game, make your game day experience the best it can be. Entertained inside the Bullseye Event Center and the great food from celebrity chef Kelsey Murphy. That and more, and combo up your passes with tickets to the game. That's the BullseyeEventGroup.com Colts VIP tailgate presented by Hayes & Sons Restoration. Get your passes now. BullseyeEventGroup.com.
Hi, my name's Robin Fletcher. I've smoked for 46 years. I went to a seminar in March of 27 and seen Mark. My best friend came with me. We both went to it, and neither one of us smoked a cigarette in almost 7.5 months. I took my 3 sisters and my brother-in-law and my sister's best friend and them went. None of them have smoked a cigarette, and I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
My name is Jen Carpenter. I went to a Mark Patrick seminar, the Stop Smoking, and it worked. A friend of mine also went, and he still no longer smokes, and it was just amazing.
Lose weight or stop smoking with hypnosis, guaranteed. Only $59.99. Don't just cut down, but stop smoking once and for all, or your money back. Stop the cravings and stop smoking for good. Stop Smoking Hypnosis begins at 8 p.m. on Thursday, January 29th at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites in Noblesville, or at 2 p.m. on Saturday, January 31st at the Holiday Inn Indianapolis Airport. Registration 30 minutes before. Sign up today at markpatrickseminars.com. That's markpatrickseminars.com.
JMV here, and guys, you've heard of TRT, but you have no idea what testosterone can do for you. Once you start treatment, you'll wish you had done it sooner. Now you can take the TRT test for free at Center Gen X and Low T Center. Walk in before 10 a.m. or book ahead at fixmylowt.com. The place for guys to go is Center Gen X and Low T Center for TRT. The TRT test is free, not hundreds of dollars. The testosterone is pure, not compounded. Guys feel full of energy, not like they're still waiting for it to kick in. Get in now for your free TRT test. No appointment necessary before 10 a.m. or book ahead at fixmylowt.com. Guys, you're going to wish you had started TRT sooner. Don't you just want to know your level? Find out with the free TRT test at Center Gen X and Low T Center. Walk in before 10 a.m. or book ahead at fixmylowt.com. That's fixmylowt.com. Center Gen X and Low T Center. Get that free T-test today. fixmylowt.com.
Want to get smarter with your money in 2025? You've got to try Upside. Upside is a free app that gives you cash back. Turn your daily commute, your next grocery run, or your next restaurant meal into cash back. You can earn an average 8% cash back on grocery and dining. That's on top of other credit card rewards.
I started using the app in January, and I've almost made $100. I'm estimating by the end of year, I'll make between $200 to $300.
I get cash back at all my regular spots, and when I discover new stores and restaurants.
To me, Upside is the best cashback app out there. I get exclusive deals and discounts that reward me with real cash.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back when you fill up your gas tank. Stock up on groceries or grab a meal from your favorite restaurant. And right now, use promo code CHIPS25 and get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code CHIPS25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code CHIPS25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions.
Do you own a small business? You need to hear this. A seismic shift is coming. It's time to get super sure. Not kind of sure, not pretty sure, but super sure. Coming soon.
The Colts look for revenge as they host the Jacksonville Jaguars. Coverage Sunday morning at 9 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
This is Query and Company on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Johnny Be Good is here. As a matter of fact, it is the crossover. Brought to you by the good guys at Love Heating and Air. John, Merry Christmas. Did you have a good holiday?
I had a good holiday. I went to Terre Haute on Bloomfield to Linton to Sullivan to Terre Haute on Christmas Eve.
I saw the Sullivan Gym, right?
How about that? 1927. Awesome gymnasium. I didn't get a chance to get in, but I was in it. I think the last time I was in it was like 15 degrees below zero outside, and the parents had to keep their cars running as we played.
Nice.
Yeah. So
what's lined up on the big show? We know the DeForest Buckner news is the big news of the day.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll see just how much. We're going to see if Sauce Gardner, I guess, coming up on Sunday. Joel Erickson joins us at 4. Wells is going to be here. I haven't heard from Fish yet. Have you heard from Fish? We'll see about Don coming up a little bit later on. He may be off with the holidays and IU's basketball team off and awaiting the Rose Bowl. But Mike DeRocco, ESPN, ESPN.com, Bob Lovell. So loaded up and off at 5:30. How was your Christmas?
It was good.
Did you have a bunch of people you didn't know there?
No, we did that Thanksgiving, not Christmas, though. But it was good. And then back in the saddle today, knowing that we had the game coming up on Sunday. Slippery Noodle, by the way, I'll be there pregame tailgate on Sunday. Look forward to everybody then. John is up next. Colts Happy Hour, 5:30. We'll hand it over to John, and we'll do it next here as we roll along. Have a great weekend. See you on Sunday, everybody, here on The Fan.